The Dolphins D, we already in here. Ready to turn up this year. He gon' get it.
To Hard Rock Stadium.
We gon' defend. We gon' defend. Homie, this side. And we gon' defend. Let me hear you say, his squad. We gon' defend. We gon' defend. Homie, this side. And we gon' defend. Let me hear you say, his squad. Yeah, I got the whole squad with me now. Train to go. Come play games if you want to. Try to crash eyes, you done took the wrong route. We gon' crash in you like a stunt dude. Check y'all like 1, 2. Tap your head like your uncle. You wanna ride, stay buckle. It get loud down here, get wild down here. Time to feel the jungle. Never disrespect the squad that's defended by a line. And some beasts on the feast on opposition. Another line in the back, singing to the ER. Just in case you got through the first line, was tripping. But if for some reason it get crazy, I got watchers on the corner for my safety. Everybody here well coached. Change the weather under pressure, stay cool like an AC. Woo! But we still make heat. Woo! Was you trying to play me? We be 3 plus AD, but I'm a fool so low. Can't never break me. Be great, only way to do great things. Hit hard, only way to make a statement. Come up in our territory, make a payment. Or be in debt with your neck. We gon' defend. Homie, this side. And we gon' defend. Let me hear you say, his squad. We gon' defend. Homie, this side. And we gon' defend. Let me hear you say, his squad. Yeah.
I hit them boys. We throw them toys. Got saying that QB. We them boys. We the realest. We go gorillas. We out here, homie. You gon' kill us. Don't make me come down. In that box. Like I'm red. I'll knock your socks. Won't play y'all boys. Cause we some bullies. We'll take your cookies. Cause y'all some rookies. I'm in the building. Me and Shot Jones. We do lane. We don't play zone. We play that man. So guard your hand. I see your eyes. You're scared,
we
man.
We gon' defend. Homie, this side. And we gon' defend. Let me hear you say, his squad. We gon' defend. Homie, this side. And we gon' defend. Let me hear you say, his squad. Yeah.
So nice.
Yo. Welcome to Miami. Magic City. Solo. City you love, come visit.
Un cafecito en la mañana para levantar el ánimo.
Gracias.
Okay, vámonos, born in the Bronx, raised in Dade. Been in the city since Pitt had braids. Baja panty parties, but I know how to sneak me out. Now it's 7-figure meetings, every day we need a house. It's game time, the game's mine, you know the vibe. Yo viajaba el mundo entero, rapping 305. La comida, la mujer, la cultura. La vecina con su gallo, que locura. En el verano es verano y en invierno el verano. Dime qué ciudad lo tiene así bacano. Cocaine capital, so guess what, we been good. We known to flip things, look what we did to Winwood. D-A-D-E. Welcome to Miami, the city that made me.
I got a pair of flip-flops and a tank top.
Only in there.
Lights got spinning, now I can't stop.
Only in there.
Sipping cafecito at them little cups.
Only in there.
In Miami, we get it live like the Super Bowl. In Miami, we get it live like the Super Bowl. I still stop cause I'm sitting in this traffic. Still got the speaker system blasting. Praying that I got enough gas. Cut the AC out so it's lasting. Man, it's just another day in dead. Hunting for the pay. Hungry now, I got a video on the play. Gotta work tomorrow, but I stayed up late. I ain't taking nails, so I'm drawing up a play. Yo, see my homeboy say, yo, the city never sleeps. Tell me where you wanna go. We can take a down south, chillin' on the floor. Or go to Biscayne where they got a light show. Or hit the west side, chillin' with the Chicos. Get a whole meal out the side of the road. Whoa. Hey, you see Lil Mama right there? Hey, I'm saying no. I got a pair of flip-flops and a tank top. Only in day. License got spinning, now I can't stop. Only in day. Sippin' Cafecito and them little cups. Only in day. In my head, we get it live like the Super Bowl. In my head, we get it live like the Super Bowl. Let's go. Do a two-stepper down the Henny song. Drink in my cup, got me plenty gone. At the block party, it was out the chain. Lost a half a check, got a Dolphins game, but I'm still vibing. 9-5 sliding. Car next to me, ain't got no business driving. Now I'm paranoid and it's getting real annoying. What make it even worse, I know that they ain't got insurance. I hope it don't crash. Get up out my lane, I'ma have to call 1-800, say I'm in pain. Get a check and I smile. Man, this shit wild. Till stay alive, we don't never turn down. That's why we love it. Every day we on the grind to get out the bucket. Waiting on the chicken tender sub, selling puppies. Nah, for real though, man. You never had one of them? Yeah. Look, I got a pair of flip-flops and a tank top. Only in day. License got spinning, now I can't stop. Only in day. Sippin' Cafecito and them little cups. Only in day. In my head, we get it live like the Super Bowl. In my head, we get it live like the Super Bowl. Only in day. Who that? So low, so low, so low, D.
D Miami Sports Music, salute.
Already know.
What's up?
Finger licking.
We got finger licking live.
Already know, man.
It's Kane over here. Turn over chain, 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 turn over chain. You see big homie get the fumble, he get a turnover chain. See big homie get the pick off, he get a turnover chain, 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 turnover chain. You see the whole crowd going user, we want the turnover chain. See the whole crowd going crazy, we want that turnover chain, turnover chain. Turnover chain is deeper than jewelry, deeper than blink. It's deeper. See, this is our thing, and you was the team that's strictly for Kane. Invented the swag, you rented and brag, but we want it back. Let me get that. But you can keep the old one, cause we keep something new in the bag. All of these players is hungry, don't come in here thinking it's funny. We aiming for something, rocking the chains when it's sunny. Even when raining and slumming, we ain't gonna be slumming. I hope your quarterback don't think it's sweet. The defense will make them take a seat. And if somebody strip the ball out, then somebody get a Cuban link. Now you know how I go with the fans though. We be going wild out in the stands though. If you're not with the team, you're not familiar. If you throwing U's up, you're not familiar. Come on, get loose like a band, trombone. Throw 3 or 5 up, my home. CWA, tell them about it. All the K's going wild when we yelling this. Turn over chain, 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 turn over chain. You see big homie get the fumble, he get a turnover chain. See big homie get the pick up, he get a turnover chain, 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 turnover chain. You see the whole crowd going user, we want that turnover chain. See the whole crowd going crazy, we want that turnover chain. Who that?
So low, so low, so low, D. So low, so low, so low, D.
It's Canes over here. It's some Canes over here.
guys, I'm Danny Johnson, CEO at TPP, The Positive Porpoise.
I'm Jason Miller from Fins Up SoCal Fan Club.
I'm Scott Howell from Atlanta Dolphin Club.
Mark Angelo, NorCal Dolphin Club.
And you're listening to Clock Blockers, Miami fans' #1 morning show.
Run it, 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 run it.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy, Stephen D, and it is Hump Day on this slow news Wednesday. Such a slow news day today, okay? What's going on, everybody? Clock Blockers, home of the #1 Miami fan morning show. I'm your host, Stephen D, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. Want to say good morning to my Fins family and my Fin-laws. Hope you all have a beautiful and wonderful day today. I know today is it's just a little bit of a crazy day. We're going to get through it together. We're going to talk a lot about it this morning. I got some special guests, some big name YouTube special guests coming through at different times of the morning. We're going to get through this together, y'all. How's everybody doing today? It seems like the world was up at 7 a.m. this morning, at least Dolphins world. Just saying. I don't know what y'all normally do, but I feel like today I got on Twitter today at when around 8 o'clock, and I was like, wow, people have been up for an hour. It's like something happened at 7 a.m. on the news or something, and y'all wanted to, watch it. All right, look, it's going to be a crazy day. We're going to get into it here in a few. But I got to do stuff before we get it right into the show. So if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I see that y'all are starting to get in and piling into the watch party here. Please make sure that you hit that like button. Have y'all hit it yet? Have you tapped it? Tapped it. I need you. You. The one, yes, you. The one that's watching on your toilet seat right now. Don't forget to flush, please. And make sure you leave the toilet seat down for your significant other. I'm sure they don't appreciate when you leave the toilet seat up. Maybe that's just me. Okay? Just make sure you hit the like button and share. Okay? You on the toilet seat. I'm talking to you. All right? Make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Let people know that we're here. Okay? Hey, look. Also, if you guys want to sign up and become a member today, I would love for y'all to sign up and become a member today. Do you want to know why? Because I want y'all part of the family. You don't have to spend money on that other team in Aqua and Orange. You can spend money on this team in Aqua and Orange. Why is that? Because I'm here with you every day with the struggle. With it all, with the struggle. Can I get 3 new members today? I'd love to get 3 new members today. Okay? Frank Mendez says, wash your hands too. Yes, make sure you wash your hands. I lifted it up. She could put it down. Don't talk to me while I'm making boom boom level 2 noob says. Guys, we got to laugh a little bit today. We're gonna laugh a little bit today. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna laugh a little bit. Upper decker all day, baby. No toilet seats in my house. Chris Delakis, I have a funny story one day that I will talk to you about. I didn't learn what an upper decker was till my wife's friend told me what it was. True story. Yes, so it'll be a lot of fun there. So make sure you guys sign up. I put in the chat box the link for you to become a member today. I'd love to see 3 new members on the channel today. If we can do that, today's a good day. Okay? Baby steps. We're going to get there. If you guys want to donate to the channel and help the channel grow, there's 3 different ways you guys can do it. Number 1, you guys can use the YouTube Live Super Chat, which is the $ down at the bottom of the chat. You guys can click that little button, do Super Chat, or you can give me a super emoji or whatever you guys want to do. Just say, Stephen, you're doing a great job, or thumbs down to the foot. I don't know. Whatever it is, donate to the channel. Even if it's $1, it goes to helping the channel grow. I will let always people know that there's 2 other ways to donate. You guys can use PayPal, which is MSM Podcast Network, or you can use Cash App, which is $ MSM Podcast Network. See, I make it easy for you guys. All right? So if you guys want to do it that way, I want to give a big shout out to our sponsor of the show, Tail Greeter. If you don't know who Tail Greeter is, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Make sure you go and download the app today And there are plenty of amazing, cool things around the country. And it's not just during football season. We got a lot of things lined up with Tail Greeter coming up in 2022, and we hope that you're there for it. If you are not following them on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, please go follow them right now at Tail Greeter, TailGreeter. Make sure you guys go do that today. All right. Want to remind you all, too, if you've missed any episodes this week, every Tuesday through Friday, starting at 9 a.m., the #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the #1 Miami Fan Podcast Network for you guys, a network made by the fans for the fans. All right. Remember, every Monday, if you missed any show, Alex Dono and myself live on Mondays at 9:30. And also last night, we had a great time last night, the Miami Sports Music Power Hour, Jamie Bahamas, Cameron from East 32. And you know who didn't show up as usual? Solo D didn't show up, was late, he came up with an excuse that he had to pick up his family from the airport. Gosh, what am I going to do with that guy? All right, we're going to get into all that and more today here. I do want to make sure if you guys follow Miami Sports Music on Twitter at MIA, follow them on Instagram and Facebook at Miami Sports Music, and make sure you guys follow me on all the social media platforms at Stephen D. SKPL. Spread kindness, positivity, and love. I don't know how much kindness or positivity we're going to get on the show today. I'm going to try to do my best to keep it kind and positive, but it's going to be a rough show today. I already know that it is. For a lot of you who have already been up this morning, have watched our former head coach on CBS this morning. I heard he's been on CNN. At 9:30, he's going to be on ESPN. He's doing the media tour about all the news that broke yesterday that he is suing the NFL, the Denver Broncos, the New York Giants, and the Miami Dolphins. There's everything from racial discrimination to alleging to throwing games, pay for money incentives. There's just a lot of bad different things going on in the media. So throughout the morning, I'm going to have a lot of different people come in and out. I reached out to a lot of different people last night. And so I'm going to have a few people come in and out over the next hour and a half. But I wanted to bring on somebody who I think is doing an amazing job on Twitter right now and also in other places. He's growing his social media. He's becoming really big. I enjoy all of his content. My man, Nikki Smokes, is in the building. What's up, baby? How are you, man?
What's going on, man? Thank you for that introduction, bro. You touched my heart. Thank you, bro.
Well, hey, man, look, I'm spread kindness, positivity, and love. But, dude, this is your first time on the channel. So, #1, welcome. #2, I really have been enjoying all of your content, man. You've been doing a great job, man. Keep up the good work.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you for having me on.
No problem. So, let's get to it, man. Let's start, where everything is, man. Explain to me when you got the news yesterday, just your initial thoughts. I saw, by the way, your reaction on Twitter and Instagram was great. And I might replay that later on. But, I mean, you're on now. Give me your initial thoughts and reaction, man.
Well, my initial thought was we have to be living in a matrix. Like, I thought I was comparing it to Ozarks. I mean, like, what are the odds that out of all teams in the NFL, it's our former head coach, it's the Miami Dolphins. It's not like we ever have anything to live for, right? Except just this never-ending drama. So my initial thoughts, it's like, how is this possible? Why us? And then at first I was like, Stephen Ross, he's a scumbag. Like he's a piece of dirt. But as I started to, collect everything that was going on, I kind of understand where Ross was coming from. Mm-hmm. Like he was trying to do everything and anything he could to make this team better. He was going to break every single rule possible to do it. So it actually showed me that he somewhat cares about this team because I was always under the influence. He doesn't care. He's a New York guy. He just cares about his real estate. I mean, this guy was doing everything and anything that he could to make this a better football team. He wanted us to get the #1 pick and all that. He failed every morals and ethics test possible, but he showed that he cared about the team. And now that I've kind of broke it down, I don't think Flores' problem is with the Dolphins. It's more so with the NFL and how he's already been involved in 2 basically mock interviews. He mentioned the first one with the Denver Broncos, and then he mentioned the one with the New York Giants. So the only thing that's really coming out against the Dolphins is tampering and allegedly paying Brian Flores to throw football games, which honestly, I believe that happens all the time. I mean, tanking is not a new thing. And I just think Ross is the first one to get caught.
Yeah, definitely. He definitely is. So Brian Flores told CNN a little bit ago that Dolphins owner Stephen Ross explicitly told him that he would pay him $100,000 to lose games in 2019. And quote, that's not something you would make up. I 100% agree. I really think that happened. And you're looking at Stephen Ross. I think Stephen Ross tried to do everything in his power to win.
Yes.
And moral conflict or not, he tried. But I would say at every twist and turn, at every decision he's made the wrong one, and he has failed, and he has failed miserably.
Yes.
And now it's come back to bite him. Good, bad, or indifferent. What are your thoughts about? Because I'll say this, I really think that if this comes to fruition, if they, look into bank records and they find the $100,000 wire transfers or whatever the case is, this is as big as Pete Rose, gambling, or Shoeless Joe Jackson 1919 Black Sox scandal. I mean, I really think it'll be that big in sports. I don't think people understand the significance of what this could mean.
I think you hit the nail on the head. I think this could be one of the biggest stories in NFL history. I don't think there's ever been an example where someone's even been caught or this has been brought up before. And like you said, Ross has made every wrong move possible. I mean, you hire Brian Flores, right? And you're trying to go into a tanking year, and you hired the only coach probably in the entire planet that is going to say no to a $100,000 incentive per game if all he has to do is lose. It takes absolutely no effort for you to go out there and coach a team to lose. The Sixers did it in basketball. I mean, teams do it all the time. Ross has made every wrong decision, and that is why he was so desperate to break every single rule. I mean, he did the tampering, the $100,000. He screwed up for so many years that he was so desperate to do whatever it took. But I think this is going to be the biggest story in the NFL. I mean, it completely ruined Tom Brady's retirement. And Tom Brady's the Michael Jordan of the NFL. And no one is even talking about Tom Brady's retirement anymore. Like, that's how big this story is.
Well, that I was saying last night on the Miami Sports Music Power Hour, and if you guys missed it, go back and rewatch a replay of it on YouTube. It was great. I said this last night on the show that this is making news outlets like CNN, Fox News, NBC News, just everything, CBS, obviously. So you've kind of hit the nail on something when news outlets, real news outlets, pick it up. I think the other thing that we also have to realize here is that, there's, and let's just talk about it for what it is, the discriminatory practices that happen within the NFL. We've all talked about it. We all know that it exists. The Rooney Rule, I think, is there for,
it's a joke.
It's a huge joke, right? And so I don't think that I think he has merit to what he's saying.
Right.
Last night we were stating on the show, I had Jamie Bahamas in here from 305 Sports as well as Miami Sports Music, and he was stating it's going to come out to a certain extent that he's that scorned girlfriend. Now, because he's right, but what are his intentions? Is there intentions because he didn't get a job that he's now coming out and trying to scorch earth everything? And the other thing to all this, Smoke, is he might not ever coach in the NFL again. He's probably going to get blackballed from this league.
I don't think he'll ever coach again. And especially with the owners in the NFL. So Roger Goodell, he doesn't work for the owners. Well, he works for the owners. The owners don't work for him. So whatever their coalition decides is what's going to happen. And I just think Brian Flores, he's kind of like the whistleblower. I believe this happens all the time with all these 100%. Franchises. I just think, of course, the Dolphins fucking luck. I don't know if I'm allowed to curse on here. My bad.
We have the swear jar. So you owe $2 to the swear jar. The F word is $2. Every other word is $1. So you owe $2 to the swear jar, Smoke.
Oh, man. I wish I read the fine print. I just think the Dolphins are the first team to get caught, man. I really do. I think Flores, like I said, he's the whistleblower that's exposing the league. And I think it happens everywhere. And about the Rooney Rule, I mean, I just think that's an absolute joke. And I think that's what he's really trying to push here, because it's a 58-page document, right? And only 4 pages is talking about the tampering and the money he was offered to lose games for the Miami Dolphins. But the rest was more so about all the injustices that take place in the NFL. And then his 2 interviews, which, by the way, we need to talk about Bill Belichick. I mean, he texted the wrong guy. There's no way in hell he texted the wrong guy.
So that's what we were saying last night. When have you seen Belichick make a mistake as big as that? So there is the conspiracy theory that Belichick did this on purpose to essentially he knew what would happen. He lit the match.
So. I think so. I'm bought into that. I am bought into that 100%. If anyone could scheme that up, it's Bill Belichick. I mean, he is notorious for his schemes in the NFL. If there's anyone that is thinking that far ahead, it is Bill Belichick 100,000%. There's no way. There is no way he got
Shake Money paid your swear jar fee, just so you know. See, look, you already got the listeners looking out for you, man. You're so liked already. I love it.
My man, thank you.
But I agree. I 100% agree about Belichick, right? And he's the thing in all of this that is kind of like the X factor, because I say, the NFL will never allow him to coach again. But Belichick's his own guy. I could see Belichick saying, come on down. You can be an assistant coach on my squad. Yep. I could totally see something like that. But I think this ripple effect has 3 or 4 different levels to it, right? There's the gambling side, which I think, even though it's 4 pages in this whole document, is probably going to be the biggest thing when it's all said and done, in my opinion.
If there's any lawyers that could take him down, like an owner's lawyer, it would be Vegas. Like if Vegas finds out that he was tampering games for the Dolphins, that'll blow this out of the water.
Mm-hmm. Oh, 100%. 100%. And here's the other thing to this too, right? The Rooney Rule. The Rooney Rule, we all know, has been a joke, right? It is a rule that was put into place over, I guess, a decade ago now, if I'm correct. And it was basically there so that minority coaches would get an opportunity to have interviews for those big jobs. But the reality is people want who people want when it comes to coaching. And I also think there isn't enough minority coaches that do get a look at anything in any way, shape, or form, right? Like, I've been a bit advocate for Deion Sanders and his Jackson State pursuit. Like, everybody's like, he's going to go to Florida State. And I'm like, I don't know about that. I think if he stays at a HBCU, he can help grow the HBCU universities. And I think it's a big thing. And I think there's a lot of money to be made there. Not only that, I think that it's such a big thing for the diversity. You also have to realize that when it comes to the NFL, there's currently 1 black head coach in the NFL right now. And by the way, we don't know how long he's going to stay, right?
No,
because of everything that's
going on there. They will never fire Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin
I've said that. They said earlier, they said there were reports in Pittsburgh earlier this year that they said they could go in a different direction in the offseason. Now, I don't think they will.
Especially now.
But there was that talk, and they've had 3 head coaches in 50 years. So I don't know what it means to that, but I do know that there's a culture change that needs to happen. Another part of this whole thing is there's no black owners. There's no minority owners. And I think that's part of the problem when you have it too. So what are your thoughts about all of this moving forward? Because I think that he's going to be the first one to walk through the door. He's going to get bloodied. There's the thought of, well, you did this because he got scorned, but he's got a lot of merits and rights to his, what he's saying. Like, it's all true, I really think. So what do you think happens moving forward with the NFL? Because look, the NFL's in its Super Bowl week, and then after that, there's no news cycle. So this is going to be the news story moving forward for the next
100%.
Month and a half, 2 months. Would you agree?
100,000%. Before I talk about the state of the NFL, I agree with you. I truly believe Brian Flores, but I think his biggest problem is going to be having actual evidence to prove anything against the Miami Dolphins. I think that's the biggest problem. I personally would believe Brian Flores a head coach over some scumbag billionaire 9 times out of 10. But his biggest problem is going to prove it, especially if he didn't take any of the money. Now, for the NFL, I mean, their problem, I wish I had the answer. I wish any of us had the answer on how you can integrate minority ownership, because I think it starts up there. But the coalition that they have in the NFL, I mean, you have to be voted in, accepted by all other 32 teams. I really don't have an answer. I mean, I don't know if Roger Goodell is going to be able to, create some kind of rule or mandate that there has to be X amount of minority owners, but then even then, that's going to start.
How do you do that, right? How do you
That's what I'm saying. Like, you can't just like fire 6 owners because they're not a minority. Like, there has to be, maybe like they'll set it up so the heir to the team has to be a minority, or they have to interview
the second in line,
people.
the way that
right, like the second in line or something.
Yeah,
right.
No, I mean, look, I don't know if there is a way to do it. I don't know if there's a good way to do it. What I do know is that there needs to be a committee, and that committee should consist. And by the way, that's not the answer. That's just the start of a solution, and that should be consistent of current players, former players, current owners, potential, millionaires that are minority, that are interested in pursuing ownership of professional franchises. I think it should include fans. I think it should be a group of 50 to 75 people that should come together on a monthly, bi-weekly basis, especially in the beginning, to start figuring out how do we change this, not only in the NFL but professional sports period. And I think that is, and by the way, that's after a day and a half a day of thinking of something, right? Like, this all broke at 3:00 yesterday. We're not even in a full 24-hour cycle of this yet. And so
I think, my bad.
No,
I think the worst is yet to come. I think if we thought yesterday was crazy,
today's
the
going to be
next
even crazier.
3 weeks are going to be insane. Just wait until they interview everyone from the owner of the Dolphins to the janitor of the Dolphins. I mean, I cannot. I don't even know what is going to come out. I can't wait. I honestly can't wait to hear what comes out.
Well, so here's the thing. Let's turn this to the Dolphins. Let's go to Stephen Ross, right? So you and I have been fans of this team for years. We love this team. We bleed this team.
Born into them.
It's very. I blame my father. I can't. Come on, Dad. What were you thinking? What is moving forward going to look like for Stephen Ross? Because I think there's 3 different scenarios here, Smoke. I think there's one, you will let him sell the team on his own accord. And that means he waves the white flag and says, I'm done. I can't do this no more. It's not worth the battle. It's not worth the fight. 2, the NFL, after whatever investigation they're going to do, and they are going to do some, they basically say, hey, look, we can't, it was proven that he did this. We need to let him, we need him out, basically, right? He pretty much is going to be forced to sell the team. And then the third thing, which I think is actually a more likely scenario than all of them, is I'll show Flores and I'll fight this thing to the end, tooth and nail. And I say that because somebody brought up a good point last night on the show. Cameron said, guys, we're talking about one of the most business influential people in America, top 10 billionaire. And he knows he has a lot of powerful friends in the New York justice system. So don't think that he's just going to roll over on this and say, I'm done. So what do you think out of those 3 scenarios is more likely, and what do you want to see?
Well, I want to see Stephen Ross sell the team. Ever since he's took over, absolutely nothing good has happened. We've made the playoffs twice, maybe once under his reign. I mean, he's just a terrible owner. That's first of all. So I just want him to sell the team, but I'm petrified whoever he sells it to is going to be just as bad as he is. So maybe it'll be a start when he sells it. But the most likely, I think Ross is going to fight it tooth and nail until he dies, or if he willingly sells the team on his own, because that investigation, like I said earlier, there's just not enough evidence yet. I mean, like you said, it's only been half a day since this came out.
Yep.
But right now it's a lot of he said versus he said. So, and that investigation is going to take 2 to 3 years. So it's not like Ross is going to be forced to sell the team until the conclusion of that investigation. So I think Ross is going to be the owner. I think he's going to fight it tooth and nail. And we're going to see a lot of crazy stuff come out. But what I would personally like to see is Ross to sell the team, because us Dolphin fans, we've already been through enough, man. We've already been through enough. He's made every wrong decision. And even when he tries to correct it, it ends up being the wrong decision. And a name that's not being talked about, which blows my mind, is Chris Greer. I mean, he even knew about this. He was the one who went up to Flores and told him that Ross is upset with him because he's winning too many games. So I don't know how Flores gets fired.
Real quick,
Greer's
there's breaking news out of Pro Football Talk. Pro Football Talk is stating that Hugh Jackson suggests that he was paid for losses as the Cleveland Browns head coach.
I told you, every team does it.
It's going to be a fire. Like a lot of news is going to come out today. And
it's
just going to keep coming out. It's going to be crazy. All right, let me bring on somebody else. I know we got about 15 minutes left with you, Smoke. I want to be respectful of your time. I know you got a busy day ahead of you. Let me bring on somebody else to the panel this morning. Lorenzo Ice-T Thomas is in the building. What's up, Lorenzo?
What's happening, man? How you doing? What's going on, Nikki? Hey,
how we doing?
Doing good. Well, I mean, considering being a Dolphin fan, this is the last thing we really wanted. We didn't want anything like this, to basically hit the airwaves about our beloved Miami Dolphins organization. But we've all known that this team up top, it's the problems have come from the top. We all know that as fans. So it seems as if some of those things are now being exposed. And I think that Brian Flores, after his name since the end of the season, his name has been basically drugged through the mud. I mean, whatever narrative, we don't even know if the Dolphins put it out there, whatever the narrative was, it seemed as anything that went wrong with the Miami Dolphins over the last 3 years, Brian Flores was to blame.
Yep.
I heard you say, what about Chris Greer? Who's going to stand up and be accountable for some of the decisions that were made? And now we see that we can go back 10 years ago when Stephen Ross got on that plane and went out there and tried to hire Jim Harbaugh. Wow, he still had my friend, Coach Tony Sparano, under contract.
Yep.
So regardless of how smart and great as a businessman that he is, and we all know that he's a billionaire, the integrity of his actions just by doing that leads you to believe, could some of this stuff be possible? Because look what he did to Tony Sparano. He basically went out there and tried to get John Harbaugh. Did you think that, you could get on a jet and fly out there and nobody would know? Do you think that you could offer him $100,000 per loss and it might not come to fruition? It may not hit the headlines. Now, Brian Flores is going to have a problem proving this because, those rich guys, they're not dumb. Some of the decisions they make may not be smart, but they tend not to leave a paper trail.
100%, Lorenzo. I think you bring up a million good points. One of the points that I think that you bring up, and I want to dive into it more, if this was anybody besides the owner that was alleged of any of this, they would have been fired the moment this report came out. You agree with me, gentlemen? Like that there would be there'd be none of that, right, Smoke?
I think that's why Chris Greer still has his job, is because he was so willing to hold down Stephen Ross through all of this stuff that's been going on. He's the one who's been able to keep his mouth shut and ride and buy into Stephen Ross's plans, because he's been with the team for 20 years. So if there's anyone that he has a real relationship, it's with Greer, and Greer knows his intentions. So his ability to just keep his mouth shut and do what Ross says, I think that's why Greer still has a job.
100%. And I'll even go as far as to say that this is why I believe that there's a huge chance that Ross will be forced out in some way, shape, or form, whether it's by the NFL or whether it's by the media, right? Whether it's by, hey, you need to change some of your antics. You can't think about it. He's had Bullygate under his belt. He's had, right? He's had, offensive line coach doing coke off of strippers, recording himself. Think about all of the news that has come out of this. And one of the things that keeps on being tick for tack is owner Stephen Ross. He's there in all of this every single time. It doesn't change. And not only that, when he's forced to make a decision on the direction of a franchise, he always says, hey, look, let's bring in this new hot young coach. 7 straight coaches, all first-time head coaches. 7 straight head coaches, all first-time head coaches.
And it's going to be 8.
And it's going to be 8 because there's no way that anybody that has any amount of decency that has coached an NFL team before is going to look at this situation and say, hey, look, I'm going to go to Miami.
And I was going to bring that up. I think everything that's going on now has to make us hire McDaniel, because a guy like Harbaugh, I know it was reported that he was already going to sign with Minnesota, but a guy who's already, had his chance in the NFL, he's already been a head coach. There's no way in hell he's going to want to walk into the Miami Dolphins organization. I mean, besides the no state tax and living in Miami, like that's the only benefit you're going to gain out of being the coach for the Miami Dolphins. But Mike McDaniel, on the other hand, he hasn't had that head coaching job yet, so he'll take what he can get. So this forces our hand to hire another first-year head coach.
And who is the head of football operations for the Miami Dolphins? Who's the head? Who's the boss?
Dan the Man.
Dan the Man. Dan Marino.
Is he? Is that as a I always feel like his title changes.
He's sitting next to Mr. Ross at every single game, so he is tied into those operations.
Now,
unofficially, I think.
I don't think so. I think that's one of the problems when you have an owner that is only in town 35 to 40 days out of the year.
Yep.
So
that's a whole other thing.
That's where Brian Flores maybe have gone wrong. You know what I'm saying? So if there is some truth to the fact that you're going to pay me $100K per loss, we don't know when that agreement was made, and we lost. What was it? We were 0-8, right? Am I right? 0-7 in 2019.
Yeah, we were. It was something like that. We won 5 out of our last 7 or 5 out of our last 8.
We won 5. We went 5-4 down the stretch. Now we're not sure when this allegedly was proposed that he should lose $100K per game, but you see that he has integrity, because if we lose one of those games, I think it was
the Cincinnati game. It all goes down to the Cincinnati game, which is funny, right? Because Cincinnati's playing in a Super Bowl this weekend.
Exactly.
And look at where we're at this weekend.
We're living our dream.
Lorenzo, if that's not the biggest, how do you do?
Right.
I don't know what to tell you as a Dolphins
team. Both teams were trying to win that game. That was the game where they had the bench clearing brawl.
Yep.
I mean, if you remember that game. So both teams were really trying to win that game. But one of the problems is, if you don't have a boss that is there on a daily that you got to answer to, the power that you have, especially when you're a personality like Brian Flores.
Hey, real quick, breaking news. So CNN, Flores, CNN, that interview that just happened a little bit ago, Flores' lawyer says on CNN that they have evidence of the $100,000 offer. That they have evidence.
Wow.
That it's not
bye-bye draft picks. Bye-bye draft picks.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew this morning was going to be crazy, but I never thought it was going to be like this.
Oh my God. It didn't even hit. We could lose our first round picks for next year.
The two first rounds.
That's what I'm saying. We might get banged over the head for next year. That's all our draft capital to trade for anyone, whether it's a quarterback, offensive. Wow.
The Dolphins would be smart to trade it now.
No team's going to accept it now. I mean, who's going to accept it if those picks could be taken away?
Look, well, they won't get taken away, right? Like if we trade them, they're the other team's picks. But I mean, I don't know, man. Smoke, like your face says it all, because it's true. And if he's got, like, guys, y'all have to understand, if he's got evidence that states that he is, that he's got evidence of the money, or if there's a paper trail or something, I'm trying to tell y'all, like, it's going to be.
How did
we're screwed?
He wired
the franchise for the next 2 to 3 years.
He should have learned from his boy Donald Trump. Look, you don't send emails. You know what I'm saying? Trump does not. That's his boy.
But that's why I'm wearing the hat today. Make Miami great again. But I understand. Like, I'm telling y'all, I think this is going to blow up. This is going to be the biggest story in sports. And I don't know what to tell you other than I find it sad that we are consistently the butt of all the jokes. Since his entire tenure of owning this team, we have seen so many like horrible things off the field. And we just haven't been able to, like, it just sucks.
But then that's what happens when you're a part-time owner. Basically, when you're not in the building. He lives in New York. Mm-hmm. And he basically, the stats say he's only in town 30 to 45 days out of the year. And when you're doing that, as I was saying before, and you have an ego like Brian Flores, mm-hmm. now you're the boss. So you have Chris Greer that basically gives in. He's submissive to whatever you want. He doesn't take a stand on anything. Yes, I am the one who wanted Tua Tagovailoa. Have we seen him come out there and say that? We haven't seen him say that about any one of the draft choices. So if you're in that position, the boss is away, and you finish the season 5-4 down the stretch, okay, you're in control. And he's a New Yorker, so he got that New Yorker mentality. I'm from up top. So sometimes when we get, some people can misconstrue our passion as anger. And I'm going through all this because a lot of people complained about, the way he talks to people, and you can't talk to people like that. Okay.
You can't talk to people that way.
All right. Well, he may have been a little bit of an a-hole to a certain extent, but when you're the boss and you feel as if you run the franchise and the guy you got to answer to is no longer there.
But that's the problem. That's the problem to this, Lorenzo.
You got to get ahead of football organization. Someone that someone has to answer to.
Lorenzo, he wasn't running the organization. There was 2 or 3 different people driving that bus.
Problem.
Ross was driving it. Greer was driving it. Flores was driving it. And so everybody was saying, no, this is my way. But when they went to somebody else, it was what it was, right? Like it's something totally different. And so that's why you saw players leave after only being here for 1 year. That's why there'd been a different offensive coordinator. We had 4 different offensive coordinators in 3 years with him. I mean, come on. Yeah. That tells you something. Smoke, am I wrong? Am I wrong, Smoke?
But I know who I feel bad for. Flores gets the heat for everything. He gets the heat for everything that hasn't been his fault for the last 20 years. And that was my biggest problem. You could hate on Flo. You could have your opinion. Maybe he wasn't the great at building relationships or he couldn't build a staff. But name one person who has built a staff under Stephen Ross or Chris Griffith, Miami Dolphins. No one.
Don't worry.
We'll wait. I won back-to-back winning seasons. So I just feel like he got more blame than anyone. The Dolphins did a great job at smearing his name. And I truly don't believe he got a fair chance at getting his next job.
Now, even though some of the things may be true about him in the way he talked to people and having a problem building relationships, but it was the way you smeared his name as he went out the door. Yep. So basically,
which is, by the way, part of the defamation lawsuit that's going to happen.
Exactly. So with this lawsuit, he's coming out, he's fighting back because we all know in this day and age with the power of social media, it's all about your brand. It's all about your name. And now he may be risking his football career, but he's standing up. And the irony of coming out with this lawsuit on the first day of Black History Month. It's monumental. He's making
somebody texted me that last night, and I'm like, well, you know,
you're going to come for me? Oh, y'all going to come for me? Well, wait till I drop this lawsuit on February 1st. First day of Black History Month.
We're all 3 of us are really big fans of this franchise and this organization.
Love them.
And it has a very rich history, right? Over the last, since 66. Mm-hmm. And the last 20 years essentially have been
an L.
Just a straight L. There's no other way to put it than that, right, Smoke? And I don't know what to say other than where do we go moving forward? And I think the reality of what's about to go down, guys, is this is going to be a rough few years. It's going to be a rough few years for this franchise all over again.
Where we're going to go going forward is backward. I mean, if what you just said is true, that there's a paper trail and we lose our
he says he has evidence, but I assume that to be if he's got evidence
in court, if it's confirmed as real evidence and it's significant, we are so screwed. If they take our draft picks, this is the worst rebuild of all time. You go back to 2020, say what you want. If you like Tua, if you don't, Herbert and Joe Burrow, they're in a whole different category, regardless if you think we could win with Tua or not. That's a whole different conversation. Noah Imenimbili, probably one of the worst picks we ever had in our entire franchise. AJ still hasn't even proved himself. We made up for it in 2021, kind of. But this would be
free agent sign Will Fuller.
Yeah, Will Fuller. I mean, you just go down the list.
That man did a modern day. That man did a modern day bank robbery. No lie.
2.5 million per catch
for 4 catches.
Welcome to the Miami Dolphins. Like, welcome to the last 20 years of the Miami Dolphins. Dante Culpepper over Drew. I mean, we are just notorious for just doing
like
everything wrong.
I gotta ask the stupid question, right? Because I think it has merit, right? Are we cursed? Is our franchise cursed?
Like, that's the only thing that makes sense. That's the only thing that makes sense with this team.
You going there? The Indian reservation?
It has to
I
be.
mean,
It has to be.
What other like let's be honest, guys. Like, what other thing is it than what has been happening, right?
Well,
like,
Steven, you gotta
there's no I don't have a logical explanation.
You have to stop,
what is happening.
break it down so it can forever and consistently be broke for those that are watching that don't understand what you're talking about.
Okay, you explain it. We'll start from the beginning.
No, you go ahead.
Okay.
You said
so
it.
The Sun Life Stadium, Hard Rock Stadium, Hard Life Stadium, whatever you want to call that stadium, Pro Players Stadium, was built on an Indian burial ground. Was built on an Indian burial ground.
On you, Steven. Say it again. I'm sorry.
No, it was built on an Indian burial ground.
Right.
And there's the rumor that because of that started the curse of this franchising not being able to win. Because what year did we leave the Orange Bowl? Do you guys know?
No, that I don't know.
Yeah, but ever since then, we've been mediocre at best for the most part, right? And so you're looking at that when it went to Joe Robbie Stadium, and we have not been able to come out of this so-called jinx or curse since that, and it's progressively gotten worse as time has gone on. It hasn't gotten better. No. We had arguably the greatest head coach in football, and Nick Saban in our franchise couldn't do anything.
We had Jimmy Johnson.
We had Jimmy Johnson. We had the greatest quarterback of all time, arguably, in Dan Marino.
Bill Parcells
never could win it. We had Ricky Williams, arguably top 5 running back over the last 25 years in the NFL. Right or wrong? He's arguably top 5 running back in the last 25 years.
You put him up there.
Yep. Didn't do anything. And then if you go look at the last 15 to 20 years, every 3 or 4 years, gentlemen, new coach. By the way, first-time head coaches now. We got to put that in perspective. We get a first-time head coach, and we just keep doing the same cycle. By the way, there's Bullygate, there's coaches doing drugs, there's a million other things that are happening off the field, and now we have this. And at the center of most of all of this, not everything, but most of all of this is Stephen Ross.
Yep.
And it's just, I don't know what to say. I feel like I'm trapped in the Matrix and I can't get out. I don't like it.
It's Stephen Ross for prison. Last year I had Chris Greer for prison. I think it's got to be Stephen Ross for prison. Although I will say he was trying to do the right thing, but he did it in the most messed up way possible.
Shake Money said Marlins had success there, 2 championships. Yeah, but that's different, man. That stadium was built for football, and we see what's happening with everything from the atmosphere of the games to just the overall experience. Lorenzo, you were there you went to games in the Orange Bowl, right?
Yes, maybe 1 or 2.
But, I mean, you remember watching games from the Orange Bowl
standpoint.
Oh, yeah. Like, it was a totally different atmosphere.
I took offense to everyone saying that the Bills' chief playoff game was the greatest playoffs of all time. We should remember that San Diego Charger Miami Dolphins game back in 1982, where the Dolphins were down 24-0. David Woodley was the quarterback, and Don Strock comes in to bring the Miami Dolphins back, and it goes into overtime. And you remember the highlights of basically you see Kellen Winslow being carried off the field. Now, that was a great playoff game. And then you have the playoffs against the Kansas City Chiefs that went into overtime as well back in 1971. So the Dolphins have participated in some of the greatest games of all time. But but the Bills and Chiefs game was great, to say the least. But it's just interesting that you bring up the curse and all the things that's happening. And then we often wonder, let's go back to something else that Stephen Ross allegedly did that hit the net yesterday. And I kind of thought that they were talking about the Miami Dolphins back then when he went on the shop with LeBron James and he says, "Oh,
you're talking about Brady. You're talking about Brady.
Y'all are sticking with that mother, right?"
Which he was the rumor is
right.
Let's go to that. The rumor is in the lawsuit document. It states that Mr. Ross was on a yacht with a well-known, highly prominent free agent quarterback, which we can assume is one of two people, either Deshaun Watson or either Tom Brady. Those are the only two people that you can assume.
Watson wasn't a free agent.
Exactly. He wasn't a free agent. He didn't say free agent in the thing, but we can assume that was the case, right? And so what we can assume is it was Tom Brady. Tom Brady a year ago goes on LeBron James Barbershop on HBO and says, "Yeah, I was in negotiations with the team and I was willing to play for them. I was interested. And at the very last second, they said, no, we're not interested." And you know who I was thinking it was when he said that? I was thinking it was San Francisco. I'm like, he's got to be talking about San Francisco.
No, right? Come on, man. You know Brady's petty like that. What?
Yo, it was the Dolphins.
Yeah, what better way to get back at
I want y'all to think about that.
Yes.
If Brady had have chose us,
thank you,
we'd have a Super Bowl ring right now, maybe.
Now, I
understand the significance of that.
I heard someone complain about why would he have come here because of the lack of weapons?
He wanted to stick it to Belichick. He wanted to stick it to Belichick. And he knew that if he could get the Dolphins a Super Bowl ring, that it would be the biggest FU to Belichick in the world, right or wrong.
And then when Brady would have become a Miami Dolphin, he would have been able to get what he wanted from Chris Greer. You know what I'm saying? He would become the general manager because Brady would be like, all right, what wide receivers? Oh, Gronk, you want to come? So Gronk would have been out.
Gronk already lives in Miami, y'all.
Okay, so what?
He already lived in Miami. It was set up for success.
How many free agents would have come to play with Brady in Miami because he was a quarterback here?
Could you imagine Dolphin fans walking around the stadium with Brady on their back? I mean, that would just be like the biggest mind blown of all time. I would literally feel like I'm in the Matrix. And the fact that Brian Flores stood up Tom Brady, literally left him there.
Well, the word stood him up, right, exactly.
Well, Smoke. No. There was a really good
but he didn't know it was Brady. He didn't know.
The word has it. So Ross invited him on the yacht and was just like, "There's some star quarterback that's just going to conveniently meet us there."
Maybe he didn't know it was a quarterback. He just, look, we're going to have a meeting on this yacht. And once you have a meeting. So
Smoke, you said something in your Twitter or Instagram rant yesterday that I thought was good, right? You and I know you got to get out of here soon. I apologize.
No, you're good. I'm having fun.
I thought it was funny what you said, that you said the man with the biggest integrity of all time. Like, you got to state that he's got some integrity in this thing, right? Like Flores. But you also have to give it up for Ross to a certain extent too, because the man tried to cheat just to win. That's how bad he wanted to win, and still couldn't do that right. Like, do you want to go into further detail on that rant? Because it was a really good rant.
I mean, you kind of summed it up. Like, part of me, it's like he did everything wrong. He failed every morals, ethics test possible. And Brian Flores, on the other hand, he passed it with flying colors. But he was just trying to win. He was just trying to win. He was trying to make up for all his wrongdoings. He was willing to do whatever he had to do to make this team win. He was literally trying to bring Tom Brady, who was our biggest rival for 20 years, bring him onto the team, give him full control, let us win a Super Bowl. And that was after the first time he tried to pay off Brian Flores to lose games.
Right.
And Brian Flores might be the only head coach in the entire planet, not America, the entire planet, who has the integrity to say no to $100,000 per game to lose. That's a $1.6 million bonus to lose. And the whole plan was to tank. And that's why I think Flores got fired, was because that first year he won too many games. But
well, it started the friction, right?
Right. Like, I think the relationship was ruined after that.
I can't trust you.
But who's to say if he had lost all of those games, he would have kept his job?
Well, I think he would have.
I think he would have. Let's play that scenario out for a second, Lorenzo.
No.
Listen for a second.
From us to fire him.
Lorenzo, listen for a second. Who would we have gotten?
I don't know.
We would have gotten Joe Burrow.
And we could have signed Brady and had Burrow. If Ross's plan worked to perfection, if Flo took the tank,
could you imagine that? We would have had Brady with Burrow in the wings.
We would have had Brady and Brady Jr.
I hate being a Dolphins fan sometimes. Do y'all realize what you just did to my brain?
It's unbelievable.
Oh my God. So there was a Sports Illustrated article that came out about 10 years ago. And it basically was stating the alternate universe of that if Breeze had went to Miami with Saban, that it would have been 100% smoke. It would have been Breeze and Brady in the AFC East for essentially 10 to 15 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it would have been, who knows what we would, what could have been. But we would like to think that if that had went the other way, that there is an alternate universe. There's a Spider-Verse out there that has the Dolphins winning multiple Super Bowls with Drew Brees and Nick Saban. And Nick Saban isn't winning college championships. He's winning NFL Super Bowls with the Miami Dolphins. Now there's another alternate universe out there where Brady chooses the Dolphins. We get Joe Burrow. And not only do we win a Super Bowl with Brady, we're set up for the next 10 years with Joe Burrow. I'm gonna
go cry in my room, bro.
I'm serious. Like, oh my God, I'm so that just, it eats me up inside. That one decision changed the course of the direction of our franchise for so many years.
Do we remember how bad? Please, do you remember how bad we were those first 7 games? People were calling us like the worst football team of all time. So you actually think he would have continued to keep his job if we continued on that pace?
Well, that's part of the problem, right? Like, people say, well, you can play the what if game, but we wouldn't have made the best decisions for those people here, which is a fair argument too, right? Which is part of the reason we didn't make the decisions in the first place. But if we were smart enough to make those decisions, then I like to think we would have been smart enough to make better decisions to win championships at that point, right?
As a fan, hold on, Stephen. As a fan, you're watching that Cincinnati game. You want us to lose that game? We're playing New England on the last game of the season. As a fan, I'm not talking about as a coach or as a player. I'm talking about as a fan. Did you want us to lose those 2 games? But
with that being said, I wouldn't have been mad at it. Like, it would have been, I see what's going on. I was like, I'll be honest with y'all. If the tank was going on, I was not mad at the tank. I wanted to be in the best position. I'm sick of mediocrity.
We went into the season with the slogan "Tank for Tua." And that's why when I love Big E. I love Big E, but when I hear fans talking about they want a refund for 2019 season tickets, you knew what you were signing up for.
Right.
Yeah. The slogan was, we are tanking for Tua, but really we should have been tanking for Burrow. So to answer your question,
we're talking about 2 different seasons here, though. 2019 was the 0-8 start, 0-7.
Are you talking about this last year when we beat the Patriots? Or are you talking about?
I'm talking about when we finished 5-4 down the stretch. So that was 2019. Okay. So therefore,
that was Flores' first year.
So we would have been able to get Joe Burrow then.
Yes.
The next season was the tank for Tua. For Tua.
No. That first season was tank for Tua.
Then we got to
okay. Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay, so that was the 2020 draft, right? But the 2019 season, that's why I'm getting confused. It was the 2019 season, but
you got all those years mixed up. I get it.
No, it was the 2020 draft, but it was the 2019 season. Got it. Sorry. Right.
So I mean, let's think about this for a second now. So now we're in this predicament that we're in. And Smoke, whenever you got to go, let me know, and I'll obviously let you finish up and promote everything. So let's look at this from where it is now. We have court documents and allegations that our owner bribed his head coach for losses. We do not currently have a head coach. The best person that was going to be the best candidate, I don't think would come here, wouldn't touch anything close to here for a 10-foot pole, right? He wouldn't. Why would he? The other thing that you also have to put into comparison with this is what free agents are going to want to come here to this craziness. So I asked both of you, and I'll start with you, Smoke. Where do the Dolphins go here moving forward? What do you think this is moving forward? What does this look like in the next 2 to 3 weeks?
A Great Depression. A Great Depression. Because if there's evidence that he was paying him $100,000 and we lose that draft capital and we're forced to hire, who knows? Mike McDaniel might be like, no, I'm good. Like, I'll stay in San Francisco. There'll be more job opportunities next year. We could get stuck with an interim head coach or someone that's left over on a staff. Like this could be really, really bad, man. As a Dolphins fan, I mean, I pray things fall in our favor for the organization, but the NFL as a whole, like there obviously needs to be changes. And I think that's Flores' main purpose. So hopefully the Dolphins maybe get lucky and get to keep the draft capital. But I mean, this is going to be a Great Depression because I don't know who's going to want to come here with this dysfunction. I don't know how you're going to want to sign free agents. I don't know who's going to want to come here. It's unbelievable, man.
Jolie says, I did say it, Steven. Finns are going to promote Gotze as head coach, Studfield as OC, Boyer as DC. Market. I don't think that's out of the question now. Like, I think it stands to reason that their best move is to hire within. I'm not saying it's their best move. Like it's the best move and it might be their only move. That's what I should say.
Screwed.
Yeah, that is a good point. Not that I'm happy with it, but because you keep it within the family. All right. Okay. We're going to come together and stick together as family because we do have a decent defense, a decent to good defense. So,
and
Xavier quick, Howard might leave. Like who's going to want to re-sign here
right now? Pay him. Just give him what he wants.
Well, he's already signed,
yeah.
But he could easily say, bro, I'm waiting like that. I know Omar Kelly said that it wasn't him who made the report, but I'm sure he's thinking right now, as well as a lot of other players are probably thinking, especially on the defensive side of the ball, I'm wasting my years in this crap show.
That's why I think you made a point, Steve, when you're like, yo, trade the picks now before they dictate what you're going to lose. So I've been all for the Eric Bieniemy. I'm trying to figure out why he's not even getting interviews. So, hey, we're in disarray right now. So,
well, I mean, that's part of the Flores lawsuit, right? Is Eric Bieniemy should have been a head coach in the last 5 years.
Exactly.
I don't think anybody disagrees with me there.
So go ahead and bring him in here as an offensive line and trade for Deshaun Watson.
Bang. I knew I like Lorenzo. I knew I liked him.
Because if we're going to possibly lose the first round draft choices.
Why would Bieniemy want to come here, though?
Because he wants to be a head coach.
No,
he's been turned down.
Not that bad, bro. Not coming to this.
If he's coming with Deshaun Watson and they're linked, we all know that they're linked. He'll come because he believes that he can win, and if he can win, he can turn it around. He already has.
Lorenzo gave us our only out. That's the only way the Dolphins get out of this mess.
Because you go ahead, you hire a black quarterback black coach during Black History Month, and then you sit back to wait to see what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson. So with all the court proceedings and everything, nothing is going to be decided anytime soon. So you trade those draft picks now, like you said, Stephen. Trade them now because if you're going to lose them, all right, well, we already have our elite quarterback. We got our head coach, and let's go forward. He's probably one, of the people because, look, Eric, just concentrate on the offense. That's all we need you to do. Come in here and build an offense. We spin that offense. If he's coming, he can probably go ahead and bring some of those wide receivers that we don't even know that's playing in Kansas City. We trade our number 2 second-round draft choice to Atlanta. Go ahead and get Cal.
Hold on. Smoke brought up a good point. If Flores has evidence and the NFL sees this evidence before, by the way, let's forget any investigation. If the NFL sees conclusive evidence that there was paid for losses, those draft picks are as good as gone. And I think, and I'll be honest with you, I think Ross is gone. So then the question is, who's running the ship? Because Cameron said last night on the Power Hour that the NFL's been in a position before that you have to look at the NFL's been here before where the NFL's run an NFL team because an owner had to get ousted before they could sell it. And if there is like that, I promise y'all, the discrimination and defamation lawsuit is real. I'm not putting anything past those things.
True.
But I think the big story here, which will be the biggest one out of all of them, I really do, is if Ross paid $100,000 per loss. And now, by the way, Hugh Jackson's saying that he got paid in Cleveland for losses.
Ooh.
Guys, this could be the biggest sports story since. I mean, I got to go to Pete Rose. I think Pete Rose is the biggest.
Let me pump your brakes right here. I mean, let's go ahead and look at the Washington Commanders. Is that their name?
Yes, they were announced. We didn't even get a chance to talk about the Commanders this morning.
And Dan Snyder. I mean, they had sexual assault allegations, and he still kept the team.
Nothing happened.
Nothing
happened.
So do you think? But
pump your brakes on that.
But the
only thing that happened with John Gruden was a sacrifice. They sacrificed John Gruden.
Exactly. So it's not necessarily is that he's going to lose the team when Dan Snyder went through all of that.
So this is what I will say to y'all. Okay, what I will say to y'all on this standpoint is, y'all have to understand that there are plenty of people that have had those allegations against them and stayed and played and owned teams in the league. That there's precedent to that. There's also precedent in professional sports that if you fix games, that you're gone. They will get rid of you. They will ban you for life. And that's why I say that is what will happen here. Ross is going to get the heave-ho, I think, from the NFL if there is proof that is being claimed by Flores right now. He's gone.
This is the last thing I want to add before I go. I feel like Brian Flores could have done all this without having to mention that the Miami Dolphins bribed him, because the main purpose behind his lawsuit is just the systematic racism within the NFL and hiring coaches and the Rooney Rule. Mm-hmm. I just think this is like a final FU to the Miami Dolphins, because he could have did all of this because his problem was that he showed up to the Broncos interview in 2019 and Elway and all those guys were drunk. And then Bill Belichick texted him, congrats on the job, when he really meant to text Brian Dobal. That's Flores' real problem. I mean, he could have did all this without spilling the tea, which is why he might end up getting blackmailed. I don't know. So he's kind of like the rat of the Miami Dolphins, but he's also he's the
snitch
leader
here.
of the NFL.
One last question I want to ask you before you go, Smoke, because I'm going to keep Lorenzo on and I got somebody else in the background. I want to ask you one question, Smoke. Where do you think, because I got somebody else in the background here and I'm going to bring them on. I'm going to let Smoke go. Smoke, where do you think history 5 years, 10 years will see Flores? What do you think history will see of Flores? Will he be seen as a villain? Will he be seen as somebody who broke a barrier and crushed? Will he be regarded in high regard in the future?
I'll answer that. So for the NFL as a whole, he'll be a legend and icon, because I truly believe something is going to change out of this. I think what he's fighting for has purpose. But he will be a villain to Miami Dolphin fans if all this came out and we lose our draft picks and this whole tank and rebuild absolutely failed because of the leaked information about the $100,000. Because like I said, he could have done all of this without bringing up the stuff with the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, he never had to bring that up. That was just a big FU, I think, to Ross and whatever.
I don't.
All right, hey, Smoke, real quick, promote what you do, all your platforms, man. I want people to follow you more, and I gotta have you come on the morning show more, man. You are straight.
Let
You
me
are
know,
straight
man.
smoke, son. You're straight
Of course,
fire.
let me know. Yeah, just check me out on Twitter at Nikki Smokes. I got a new podcast out. It's called The Smoke Show. Spotify, Apple Music. Go ahead and check that out. I'm always down to talk Dolphins. So anytime you guys have a question, tweet at me, DM me, whatever. Any of you guys want me to come on the show, man, I'm more than honored to come on. So thank you guys for your time today. It's been an absolute honor.
Ladies and gentlemen, Nikki Smokes, thank you, brother. I appreciate you coming on, man. Have a good one, all right?
Yes,
all
sir.
right. All right, I got another special guest in the back room from On the Fin Side. My man has been there for many years, been a big fan of the channel, been a big fan and friend to Miami sports music. My brother from another mother, Paul Picken Jr. What's up, baby? How are you?
Oh, I'm good. Good. What's up, Ice-T?
How you doing, Paul? Good to
Doing
see
good,
you.
man. How about you?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Considering.
Yeah. Well, I feel you. It's
all right, Paul. The floor is yours, man. I don't even have to give a opening question. You know what you're here.
No, because I'm just gonna talk anyway.
Yeah, he has to cut me off too.
Nah, man. It's Smoke is absolutely right. What Flo did, there's a lot of merit to what he did. Like as far as the racial inequality in the NFL. And it's not an easy overnight change. Like you want to talk about the ownership piece. The ownership piece is something that even billionaires can't afford to buy an NFL team because of all the rules and regulations around buying a team in place. I mean, so it's a very hard thing. And I think we need to go out honestly and take a look at the number of African-American billionaires there are out there. Because I don't think there's not a huge amount of billionaires, period. So that's where the change does start to affect from. The weird thing for me, and I think Smoke hit the nail on the head with this, is the fact that the lawsuits about racial inequality, right? Like if Flo left the lawsuit about racial inequality as the lawsuit about racial inequality, 100% respect on that. Absolutely. Like it was a sham interview. We all know it was. Like they picked out their guy, whether Daboll's white, black, green, yellow, red, you name it, right? But this, like you said, Steven, this is something different than the Daniel Snyder situation. Daniel Snyder was asked to step away indefinitely and keep his wife in control of the franchise. They did ban another minority owner from that team because of his actions and everything, but he stepped away indefinitely, but he's still the owner at the end of the day. That was conduct that was stupid. That was conduct that was illegal. That was conduct that was horrific. You name it. Scummy, I love you too. But at the end of the day, it wasn't something that affected the integrity of the game per se. It was something that affected the integrity of an individual and an organization, one particular team. What Stephen Ross did, and Stephen, you hit this on the head a little bit. If there is a shred or iota of proof, the tampering on its own would be a fine and a draft pick. Like we all know that. We've seen it. There's precedent for that. You name it. But if Stephen Ross was attempting to bribe Brian Flores, and there's so much as a text message, you name it, to throw NFL games, you've immediately bastardized the integrity of every football game out there, the outcome of a season, the butterfly effect of that on the playoffs for that year. Yep. If they had thrown a single game, basically you bastardize the integrity of an entire NFL season, possibly more. Who knows how far it goes? And that's where I think Stephen Ross would be asked to step away. Now, the interesting thing with that would be he has a number 2 that's identified in Bruce Beal, who's his right-hand man and protege. Would the NFL supersede that previously agreed to?
There's no precedent. There's no precedent for it, but they should. I think they should nix it.
You don't take a guy that set up a succession plan, which was a smart move on an 81-year-old man's part, and say, okay, we're going to take your protege and put him in charge here. Now, one thing that's interesting to me and something I took a look at, because Brian Flores in his lawsuit brought up racial inequality in the NFL. Players former players not getting the opportunity as coaches, you name it. I've been looking back through Flores' staff. Flores himself is guilty of hiring mostly white coaches. Like, you look at his coordinators, you look at, you name it. I mean, he had 20 coaches this past season, roughly, and I believe 5 of them were minorities. Like, and the Dolphins organization as a whole is probably one of the least racist organizations in the NFL. Reggie McKenzie, Chris Greer, I'm blanking on our
Jason Jenkins.
No, not Jason. Jason's another one I was going to get to, but I'm talking about just our GM office.
Yeah.
Our GM office is 3 minority personnel, executives. We were talking about possibly
we were the only team in the NFL last year, or one of 2, that had black GM, black head coach.
Mm-hmm. And they want to bring up the percentage of coaches right now. We've got 7 positions that are still unfilled out of 32, which is a batch of what could skew this whole thing.
Marvin Allen is the other guy.
Marvin Allen. That's who I couldn't think of off the top of my head. But yeah, you brought up Jason Jenkins. Ice. It's Jason, to me, from what I've seen, I feel like Jason is being groomed to potentially be the guy that replaces Tom Garfinkel if Garfinkel ever decides to leave. It's Jason has shot up through the ranks. I remember when he was far down the organization.
And real quick, just to reiterate Paul's point here, in the claim, in the court document, in no way, shape, or form does it mention the Miami Dolphins in the racism or discrimination claims. Now, that doesn't mean that the Dolphins won't forever be tied to it, but they are not named in that part of the lawsuit.
They aren't named for a specific incident, but they're named as 1/32 of the whole.
Well, the defamation part is where the Dolphins are named, right?
Well, no, but what I'm saying is the racist allegation against the NFL is against the NFL and all 32 teams.
Correct. I get that.
It's a blanket. You're basically taking and stereotyping all 32 teams.
It's because of the Rooney Rule and how they've treated it over
the Rooney Rule is a joke, right? Let's be honest.
It's a mostly joke.
Yeah,
mostly.
And the Giants demonstrated that.
Yeah.
Now, I want to state something that was said last night. There is nothing wrong that if your guy is your guy, and that's who you want running your franchise. There's a side of me that's like, if I run a business and I know that I believe this person to be competent to run my business, white, green, purple, black, yellow, it doesn't matter. I want that person, right? So, but I also understand the integrity of the rule itself within the Rooney Rule. So I guess Paul, I'll ask you, and then I'll go to Lorenzo, because Smoke brought it up a little bit ago. We brought it up last night. Did Belichick, ignite this thing on purpose? Because we all know how this started. This was a wrong text to the wrong Brian that ignited this whole thing.
Can we talk about the fact that Belichick signs his text? I mean, come on now. Puts the BB at the end of everything.
BB? I love it. No, you're not wrong. But I'm interested to kind of see, or your takes, gentlemen, on that. That Belichick is somebody who knew exactly how Flores would react and lit the fuse.
I'll give it to you, Ice, because I've been talking.
I heard what you and Smoke were saying earlier, Stephen, and I don't believe so. You'd have to tell me, how does he benefit from that? What does it do? Flores has already left the Miami Dolphins.
Flores does not like, or Belichick does not like the NFL. He does not like Roger Goodell. They don't have a good standing.
He's got to hate the Giants.
If he had a chance to screw Roger, the NFL, and the Giants and the Dolphins, you don't think he would take it?
Yeah,
I think he would.
I don't think he'd go to that. I think it was just an honest mistake. I just really think it was an honest mistake. He thought he was texting the other Brian. So I don't think the conspiracy theorists, saying that he did it on purpose. I just don't believe it. I don't think so. I think it was an honest mistake. That's my take on it.
Bill is not a guy that wants anything private of his, including text messages, to be shared with anyone. Let's face it. And Bill is not a guy that wants to turn the hypersensitive microscope on investigating organizations in any way, shape, or form. And that's the thing too. the goofy thing to me is, and this is one of the goofy things that I've heard it come up. Flo had issue with a comment that we have no idea how the comment was made or how it was taken or how it was directed or how it was framed, anything. We know how Flo supposedly took it at this point. But it's, you know, the cheating scandals when he was in New England and the things that have come out up there. Like, you know, you want to talk integrity of the game, let's talk all of the integrity of the game. Like, and if you're going to make this suit, like, I respect what Flo's doing, but maybe you should have left some of the other things out of it to keep the focus on the suit and not distract and punch holes in it yourself.
So that's what we were talking about last night, that Jamie Bahamas brought up. Jamie Bahamas brought up that Flores is going to look like the scorned ex-girlfriend, right? Who and that's how this is.
No,
you don't think that that's the case, Lorenzo?
No, because it's been strategic. He's standing up for every single African-American coach, African-American that's been passed as general manager, because we know it's over 75% black in the NFL, and there's only one black NFL head coach. Right now, he's sacrificing his entire career to coach in the NFL to stand up for that. That is the purpose of why he's coming out with the discrimination lawsuit.
Let's get something straight. I think there's merit to that, Lorenzo. My channel has been promoting that. You know I have.
Right, but in the eyes of the Dolphin fans, yes, we're going to be upset for him bringing it up if we lose all these draft choices. But why point at him when it's Stephen Ross who did it?
Well, and Ice, Ice, you're making a little bit of the point I was trying to make right now, and which is if you're going to make this stand like Brian Flores is, which is a right stand, which is a stand that needs to be made. You don't like walk in and add your own distraction things that add other scrutinization for other aspects of things. Dolphins, Chargers, you know, expansion franchise, etc. The stuff like that doesn't, you want to keep that laser focused as far as a court case goes, so you don't open up other aspects and avenues to attack potentially your integrity, to attack potentially your character, like, because you want to keep this, you want to keep the right fight going and focused on the right things. And those other things that he threw in, the Bill Belichick texts was necessary, right? Because he was trying to prove that it was a sham interview, and okay, that's absolutely necessary. Being asked to throw games has nothing to do with racial relations at all. Like, being asked to meet with Tom Brady has nothing to do with racial relations at all.
So
like,
you think he threw that into the suit to basically give the big middle finger to the Dolphins?
I'm not going to speculate why, but I think there's going to be enough distractions with a case like this. There are, like we've seen it with other things as well, things that can turn the eye from the actual issue at hand, and that's unnecessary, and it only is something that can potentially hurt your case and throw scorn in a way that has nothing to do with what you're trying to do. Like, and that's where I wish he had kept it laser focused, not because of the draft picks, not because I'm a Dolphins fan, but keep it laser focused on the issue at hand.
What is the issue at hand, Paul?
The issue at hand is the racial relation piece, as far as the number of black head coaches, as far as the folks that are getting the actual opportunities.
Okay, so maybe he didn't feel that from the Miami Dolphins, but he felt that from the Denver Broncos in 2019, and he felt that from the Giants.
100%.
But when you're doing the lawsuit, but the lawsuit is at the entire NFL. So when he's presenting his case, he has to present all of those things involved. So wait a minute, he finds out the job is already given to Brian Dable, and you still interviewing me on Thursday? My name is all I have. So basically, I've got an organization who has smeared my name since the day you fired me. So now I have to fight back to protect my name and stand up for everything that I believe in.
It's a tough call, and I'm actually surprised that his legal team didn't ask him to just focus on the racial issue. Now, as far as that goes, it could be something that if his character is being defamed as part of this lawsuit, absolutely, you bring that up. Like, here are some examples of times where I showed my integrity. And,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, but you can see right now, like, as far as
I have a question real quick to you guys.
Well,
Why
let me finish this one thing, Steve, and I will shut up. I promise. I love you. You see the focus is shifting as far as media coverage and everything else to, it's this big issue of race, and now it's holy crap, Stephen Ross tried to throw games. And they tried to meet with Tom Brady.
My question is, why didn't he bring this up in 2019?
Because he still had a job.
I mean, that's easy to. I don't disagree with you, but it wasn't until he wasn't given a job that he decided to bring it up. So does that make it any less right or wrong? And that's a question I'm asking.
I mean, but I think what I want everyone to understand is that as a black man, he has to be twice as good to get half of what everyone else gets. So when you have your name being destroyed by powerful people, such as, not exactly saying that Stephen Ross said these things, but the narrative is coming from the Miami Dolphins organization. So you're hearing everything basically that has went wrong with the Dolphins organization over the last 3 years as you're kicked out the door, and you just had 2 winning seasons. Basically, each season ended with a game that could have put you in the playoffs, and you're being kicked out of the door, and they're just smearing your name. This is coming from the organization that you worked for 3 years. Now, I'm not saying that he wasn't an a-hole and wasn't a dictator and all that other stuff. Those things people have said about him could be true. But when all I have is my name and I'm going out here trying to get another job, which we all thought he would get automatically because he was put to the top of the heap when it came to best qualified coaches for the job. And now these owners and GMs are calling up the Dolphins. We don't know. This is all that we know that was said. There could have been so many other things that were said that was basically soiling his name that might be in the lawsuit that we don't even know about. So,
well, I think it's also what you can prove. You can prove.
But like you said, he has the information. But if you're gonna clap at me, as a black man from New York that's got an attitude and an ego, I'm going to clap back at you by any means necessary. And that's what he's doing. I'm not saying that it's right or wrong, but you're trying to destroy my name, and that's all I have. And now I'm going to destroy your name.
The one thing that weirds me out in this entire situation is, can we all agree that as far as publicly, the Texans are the most racist organization in the NFL?
Oh, yeah. That's why Deshaun Watson says, I am out. I'm not playing for them again.
Why on earth would Brian Flores entertain?
That's a good question, Paul. Excellent question.
Like, if you've got this big racism lawsuit out there, why on earth would you entertain going to work for an owner? And what's his face? The former televangelist of the Patriots that Flo tried to bring to Miami, like when he first came down here, but he wound up going to the Texans, taking over power, getting Bill O'Brien into just whipped up fervor mode and shoving him out the door, even though Bill brought him. Like, why would you go work for that?
Did he have the interview with them?
I think he's still scheduled. I don't think he had it yet.
Well, we can forget about that now.
Well, I mean, racist owner or not at this point, good Lord. Like,
all right,
he's got to leave it to Brian to cancel it at this point, because it's business sense wise, he's got to be smart enough to know.
But it's interesting that you bring that up, Paul, because of their reputation. If the NFL wants to clean this up, they could come together and have that moment. Here we are trying to basically solve our race relations where we're putting an organization that has a history of making some racist comments and making decisions. And when Deshaun Watson wanted them to interview Eric Bieniemy and they didn't do that, and that's kind of like the last straw for him, maybe they do come together and the NFL says, hey, these are some of the things that we're doing to try to help with race relations in America and, of course, within the NFL. That could be something that can help.
So I think this is very interesting, right? The NFL made a statement yesterday about 2 hours after the lawsuit came out, stating the NFL and our clubs are deeply committed to ensuring equitable employment practices and continue to make progress in providing equitable opportunities throughout our organizations. Diversity is core to everything we do, and there are a few issues on which our clubs and our internal leadership team spend more time. This last part is important. We will defend against these claims which are without merit.
So you reminded me, by the way, of another thing that came out as well, which is Brian Flores supposedly admitted that in every interview he's had with a team right now, he has told them over the past 2 weeks. So it wasn't like a fast response. Somebody told the NFL this was coming. Every single interview he's had, he's basically said, now look, I want you to be aware, I am bringing a lawsuit against the entire NFL for racist practices or, and that alone, and again, like, I don't care who I'm interviewing. If I'm doing the interviewing, if somebody says I'm bringing an entire lawsuit against the entire organization that you are a part of, that gives me pause. Like, even if I'm interviewing on like Love Is Blind,
time out. You think that he went into the Giants interview stating this, or the Broncos interview stating
he said
this?
He stated it in every interview over the past 2 weeks.
Wow.
I would say maybe he didn't do that.
Did not. He said that this morning in his interview.
I saw that. I'll find it and send it to you, Stephen. I did,
because if that's true, that's a totally other different thing here. Because then it just doesn't go to, well, if he got the job, this never would have came out. This was coming out no matter what.
He had to protect his name. His name was getting smeared by South Florida sports media, and the Miami Dolphins organization. That's how he felt.
The weird thing, though, too, Ice, is you look and his name was getting smeared more by the national media during the season, as far as the national media goes,
yeah,
than it has been since he got fired. Like, since he got fired, the national media has completely changed their tune. The same folks that were saying, 1-7, these guys are horrible. 7-1, you guys haven't beat anybody. This is a horrible coaching job. The second he got fired, the narrative 100% flipped in the national media to
they were standing up.
Why would you get rid of him? He did such a wonderful job this year. Oh my gosh. He had a winning season.
You know why, Paul? I'll answer that question for you, because the Miami Dolphins organization do not do anything. They don't make correct decisions. And so they don't have a good track record of making good decisions. So the moment they made a decision, it was much easier to say that the Dolphins screwed up rather than Brian Flores wasn't the guy.
Well, I mean, it's while that may be, like, the national media needs, and this is a whole bigger argument, the national media needs to at least have some integrity to go, all right, well, I already told my kid to eat his broccoli. I'm not going to tell him not to eat his broccoli. Like, it's just like, you said already that these wins don't count, and now you're like, oh, these wins count more than anything. This is one of the, it's what?
Yeah, Paul.
Color commentary. What did Mike Florio just say? I'm interested to know what he just said.
Oh, Jesus. What did he say?
I don't know. I'm about to look it up.
Yeah, Paul, in reference to the national media, they're basically talking about our Miami Dolphins. They're a joke. The national media, because they have no idea what's going on down here.
Swear jar.
They have no clue. They got me so upset because they were coming out basically to defend the black head coach that was being fired because he won 7 out of the last 8 games, whatever it was at the end of the season, not knowing all the things that were going on behind the scenes and the problems that he was having with Tua Tagovailoa. Now, I don't support the fact that he got fired, but they didn't understand that he was in the building, roaming around there, kind of leading with an iron fist as if he was a dictator. Those are the things that came out. And the fact that, was he really behind the Deshaun Watson trade rumors? Was he basically tanking to get Deshaun Watson the first 8 games of the season? Why weren't we playing the aggressive defense early on in the season? And then at the trade deadline, we flipped all of a sudden. Now we're playing that aggressive defense. Were you doing that? Were you taking L's because you wanted us to trade for Deshaun Watson? I mean, there's just so many different things that you could look at because, after the trade deadline, we went on that winning streak. Of course, the teams became easier, but the style of defense that we played changed all of a sudden after the trade deadline. So there's so many different scenarios that you could look into that the national media was not articulating at all. They were just saying we sucked when if you looked at our first 5 games, it was New England, it was Buffalo, it was Tampa Bay, it was the Colts. And I can't remember, there was like 5 tough games in a row where all those teams were former playoff teams, and
lost by 3 or less. And
yeah, exactly. We lost 3 games with walk-off field goals. Jacksonville, the Raiders, and can't remember the third one right now. The Falcons. The Falcons, right? Yep. Exactly. So those games, all 3 of those games, we had leads.
So, what I want to go to your point there. Oh, sorry, Steven, this is your show, so I'll let you talk.
I just want to hit the reset real quick.
Yeah,
Miami Sports Music's number 1. I know. Miami Sports Music's number 1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers. Myself, Stephen D. Alongside me, I have Lorenzo Ice-T Thomas in the building. Paul Picken from On the Fin side. We got a great conversation going about all of the news that has transpired over the last 15 hours. Brian Flores' lawsuit against the NFL, racism, defamation, gambling, which I want to get into here in a second. There's just a lot of different things that are in this. And ultimately, what I believe to be, now I could be wrong, what I believe to be the demise of the Miami Dolphins franchise all over again. In our future for the next, 3 to 5 years. I really think this is going to set our franchise back.
I'm going to put a pin in that, Steve, because I want to go back to what Ice was saying before. He's over here now.
I said a lot.
You did.
Yeah, but I wanted to kind of put it in a nutshell of some of the things that the national media doesn't report on because they're not here to know some of the things that are happening behind the scenes. So
and I fully agree with a lot of what you said, but I want to expand on that a little bit because one of the things that I said multiple times throughout this season is the issue wasn't in getting personnel in the building. I could see the plan for this coming off season that Greer had in place. You could see a lot of guys that Miami brought in, including along the offensive line that this coaching staff had no use for. That went other places and started. You could see when they came out that first week of the season, their defense, I compared it to the Chargers offense under their old coaching staff, where I could look at it and go, oh, that's what you're doing on this play. This is boring. This doesn't work. And this isn't the style of defense you schemed and built that works.
Right.
Multiple times during that losing streak. You look at several waygates during the season, any one of which fell a different way, including, it took fans looking at the holding of Pilardi for kicks as far as the missed field goals this season.
Right.
Like, and all, something that a special teams coach and Danny Crossman should have been able to identify, and Brian Flores should have been able to identify. You have issues with the play calling. Brian Flores, you're the head coach. You can take over anything you want in any moment you want. Like, and that is something that, you need to do as far as winning goes. There were so many issues with coaching this season, and not just on Brian Flores. And you even look at the end of the season, the Tennessee game. You look at the Mike Gesicki interview after the fact. Something I had said during our show was it didn't look like they had a plan for inclement weather, which the reports for an entire week were that there was going to be inclement weather, and you need to have a plan anyway. Like this is one like, and they said basically like, oh, we're
Wisconsin 7 for 49, right, Steven?
like,
yeah, no doubt.
Any one of these issues though with coaching is going to equate to at least 1 or 2 more wins, at least.
Yeah.
And 1 or 2 more wins. Guess what?
We're in the playoffs.
We're in the playoffs. Brian Flores still has a job. Like, it's, you know, like we might be.
We can literally, Paul. We can literally narrow down the last 3 or 4 years and go to each decision that was made by Ross, each decision that was made by Flores, each decision that was made by past regimes, and say that if just this one thing was different,
no, but every one of them
wouldn't be here today. We wouldn't be here today.
No, but Paul is he's killing me right now because he's so right. If we go back and we look at that Jacksonville game in London where we panicked and Flores was challenging 2 plays back to back, went for it on 4th down at your own 45-yard line, calls a timeout when the team's about to throw a Hail Mary with the game tied. They're about to throw in Hail Mary and you call a timeout, and then they go back and change the play and they pass it to get 10 yards and call a timeout with 1 second left. We win that game. We're in the playoffs. The Oakland game, Raiders game, Vegas, we're up by 14. Pass interference call in the end zone, which should have been called if that is called. We win that game. We stop Atlanta after Tua throws 2 interceptions in the red zone. He drives them down the field, puts us up. That vaunted defense that's supposed to be so good should be able to stop Matt Ryan, and we don't. 3 games right there that came down to the wire where we had leads and blue leads. We would have been in the playoffs. If we win one of those games, we wouldn't be here.
Or you run the defense that works.
Like early on. Now, of course, Tua didn't play in that Raiders game. Okay, he was hurt. And we're not even going to talk about the Buffalo games and all those games. Yes, we deserve in the Tampa Bay game, even though it was 24-17 in the third quarter with 2 corners that were basically hobbled throughout that game. But, you sit back and look at some of those decisions, especially that Jacksonville game. If everyone has it on tape, look at that fourth quarter. And also the special teams play where the punt returner, the ball hits his glove and they don't call it. They don't overturn it. And Matt Collins recovers it. If he gets that recovery, we win that game. We don't lose that game. There's so many what ifs, but one of those games we win, we are not sitting here right now. And that's what's so painful to go back and look at those 3 games that we lost off of walk-off field goals.
So what I want to come back to on that though, too.
Sorry, Paul.
No, you're good. You're good. Trust me. You're saying everything that I am as well. Is you look at this defense, and if they had just run the defense they were supposed to, those games without Tua, and the reason I can look back at those, you lost by 3 in a game where you were running a stupid, predictable defense that once you started running the proper defense that we already saw the blueprint for last year, so it wasn't something they just discovered throughout this season. We already saw the blueprint with these players that we have to run last year that works. And, you lost by 3 to the Raiders. You lost by 1. Or no, sorry. You lost by 2 to the Falcons. You lost by 3 to the Jaguars. You can't tell me that in at least 2 of those games, we would have prevented at least 1 touchdown that we didn't if we were running a defense that worked.
Well, Paul, I just, in Brian Flores' defense, we can definitely say early on we had McCourty back there and Van Ginkel wasn't playing up to speed. So it wasn't until Javon Holland got the defense down pat and Jalen Phillips started to perform to whereas he could be on the field a little bit more. It wasn't until those 2 players, rookies, began to come into their own did we go ahead and flip that switch. Now, we could have still played that defense, but will it have been as effective with McCourty at safety and whoever was starting in place of Jalen Phillips before, because that was Shaq Lawson's old position. Mm-hmm. So they thought Van Ginkel would be able to fill that And he didn't really come into his own until the second half of the season. So, and then you had the two corners dealing with the injuries early on, so you couldn't be that aggressive with the defense. That's just, speaking in defense of the defensive coordinator. Now, I agree with you, but he could say that.
And that's where I would say Van Ginkel is a player that they selected that is a scheme fit for this cover zero attacking defense.
Yeah.
Jalen Phillips is a player that they selected that's a scheme fit for this cover zero attacking defense. He would have had more opportunities to just play, go get him, Jay. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
So would it have been as effective as it was towards the end of the season? No. Would it have been more effective than like, okay, we're going to put these 4 guys here, these 3 guys here, and these 4 guys here, and everybody, this is what they're doing on this play. Like, yes. Unpredictability is one of the keys for a defense. And I apologize for the dogs in the background. My wife's working today too.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very much a situation where there wasn't even the effort. There wasn't like, if it worked that effectively when you single-handedly dismantled the Ravens, you single-handedly took a team that was beating everybody and destroyed them to the point that they were just a shell of themselves the rest of the way. Like, it probably would have been more effective than running this predictable nonsense that they ran the first 8 weeks of the season.
Yeah, and one thing that I kind of disagree with it, and you see it in training camp, is that if you draft Robert Hunt at right tackle, and that's what he played in college, I know you want to have your 5 best offensive linemen, but if Liam Eichenberg, you draft him at left tackle, keep him at left tackle. Robert Hunt, you draft him at right tackle, keep him at right tackle. Jalen Phillips, why are you teaching him to drop back as a linebacker? Just you draft him to rush the passer as a rookie. Just put him in there and allow him just to rush the passer. It's just too much information for these guys coming out of college to try to take on. Draft him that position and let him play it.
You brought up the offensive line, and I blocked this out. It took him 13 weeks, I think, to realize what we saw in week 1, which was Austin Jackson was a better guard than a tackle.
Right.
And Liam Eichenberg was a better tackle than a guard.
Right.
It took him Robert Hunt was better at tackle than guard, even though I like him at guard.
Yes.
And Jesse Davis was serviceable at guard.
Because of the knee injury. If he can't get off the ball as fast. So I don't know why they didn't flip-flop the 2.
Like his whole and this is where all throughout this season, I didn't point the finger at Chris Grier. I didn't. You can go back, you can check the tape. It's Chris Grier put personnel on this field to make the playoffs. And that's with a plan to fully fix the offensive line this offseason. You can see it as far as the cap space goes. You can see it as far as what the strongest classes in free agency are. Chris Grier did his job. He brought in guys that could have been better than what we had on the offensive line. Jermaine Illuminor being a prime example.
Mm-hmm.
And this coaching staff went, no, he's nothing. And then he goes to
Eric
Raiders and literally starts day 1.
And something that was that worked well last season was Eric Flowers at guard next to the rookie Austin Jackson. Now, Austin Jackson was terrible this year, but he played better last year because he had the veteran Eric Flowers right next to them. They work in tandem. Because where did Austin Jackson get hurt most of the time? When the right end would be looping around, do those stunts. Austin at tackle and at guard would have a problem picking that up. But when you have that veteran right next to you who you're working in tandem with, then you have a solid side of the offensive line that is working together consistently, and you're getting that veteran assistance. And by not re-signing Eric Flowers, you hurt Austin Jackson. And now you got 2 young guys playing next to one another. I mean, I don't coach. I don't scout. I'm a fan who's been watching football forever, but that tells me, look, you have to have some veteran leadership to help some of these guys on the field. You don't always want to go to the coach.
I asked Richmond Webb this on a panel. I can't remember if it was here or where. And I talked to him
when I started talking about that. Go ahead.
Because I coach little guys, right?
Okay.
And It's you go back to the Buffalo game where Tua got hurt.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Like, I have never had a blocking scheme unless it was on maybe a read option play where you don't account for one of them big, strong, fast defensive ends as far as blocking goes.
Right.
Like, and literally, it was just, as far as that goes. Like, I'm sorry, there are 32 of these jobs in the world. There are 32. Offensive coordinators, head coaches, you name it. Like, you need to understand basic blocking schemes somewhere as far as, offensive coordinator, head coach, offensive line coach, all of the, like, offensive quality control. Somebody needs to go, they're probably going to line up a defensive end on this play. Like, we should account for that. Like, nowhere in that did we even have an answer. And, like, the answer you had was just, like, and again, that's coaching.
Yeah, and then you held on to your two starting running backs, or your running backs, or Myles Gaston, and basically a running back that can barely pick up a blitz. And if you remember that Buffalo game, they came with the corners blitzing and the safety blitzing off the edges, and I think that was to his second drive that he got hurt. But you have to make the adjustment. That's why Malcolm Brown was starting. We were wondering why, because he was better and bigger to pick up the blitz. And,
Dokes can pick up a blitz. Bring him up from the practice squad.
Yeah. Like, but that's why Duke Johnson and Philip Lindsay, with experience, they excelled when they got on the field, especially Duke.
Well, Duke was on our practice squad for how long?
Yeah, I know.
Philip Lindsay was on our practice squad for how long? Like, and if you've watched our show, which I know a few of your listeners do, Steve, and you've heard me with the fat guys in the backfield. Like, put some fat guys back there.
Right.
Like, it's, Robert Hunt can move with the ball if you put him back there once in a while. We've seen it. It wasn't a legal play. But, and then I see some of these folks watching.
Use what you have.
Right.
Use what you have.
Everything you have. Like,
look at how San Francisco was using their tackle.
Dude, that's what I was going to get at. I see people watching Mike McDaniel line up an offensive lineman in the backfield and go, holy crap, who would have thought of this? I've been preaching this for 3 years.
Right.
3 years. Because we've got guys like Christian Wilkins that have the nimbleness to line up back there occasionally. And, when we've talked about fullbacks, I'm like, we've got a fullback. He just tackles people too. Like, and we've got the defensive line depth to help him out. But every Waygate this season, I haven't pointed at Greer. I haven't pointed at Ross. I've come up, and I've said this on the show, and you've watched enough Ice, I think, to know I say this. The finger I've pointed, and it has nothing, like, there's a lot that I respect with Flores, but he needs to do better. One of the things I suggested was they needed to get Jim Caldwell back in here in that advisory role he was supposed to be initially. Like,
but they had a falling out from what I'm hearing early on.
Yeah, but now was it Ross?
There was some health, but then again, after you got healthy, they had a falling out from what I hear.
And who was going to be our offensive coordinator and scheme next year? Because
that
was going to, like, and again, that's what comes down to coaching. Like, so record be damned. Like, and this isn't about who you replace him with. Flo didn't get the job done this year. In year 3 with some basic fundamental things. And it sucks because there's a lot I like about Flores. But the issue this season that kept us out of the playoffs, or the issues, how many have we just outlined? Like, Ice, I think you and I just took about 30 minutes of Steven's show away from him to talk about these things.
Sorry, my internet seems to be cracking up. So you guys kept
blame the internet. It's just me talking. Like,
that's fine.
I love you. But
what I do want to ask you guys, and I know you guys have jobs and things to do today, is I want to talk about, and I hope y'all can understand me, and I apologize.
You just sound like what's his face, T-Pain.
Is that how I sound right now?
Yeah.
I do. I sound really bad.
But T-Pain has a beautiful voice when he turns off the
auto tunes, though.
Yo, did you hear him on That's My Jam?
Really? He was on The Masked Singer too.
Dude, Oh my
He's
God,
really
that man
good. He
can
can really sing.
sing.
The man can really sing. All right, I want to ask you guys about the gambling part of this, right? The gambling part of this, I think, is a huge thing, and that nobody's
especially
taking.
with DraftKings getting huge right now.
I know it's such, and I think we need to take this into account, right? We need to really talk
Oh, wait, sorry,
about
they don't
this.
pay you. So the company that rhymes with calf drinks.
I mean, if DraftKings wants to pay me for a sponsorship, we're here. We're here, okay? But what I want to say is,
finder's fee.
Finder's fee. You'll get your 10% commission.
Steven, just say I'm on a boat for me one time.
I'm on a boat. Do I really sound bad? I really hate that I sound bad.
You sound like an angel, an auto-tuned angel.
An auto-tuned angel. All right. Basically, what I want to say, as I keep on getting interrupted, and I guess I sound like T-Pain here. What do the Dolphins need to do? Or no, forget that. What do the Dolphins do moving forward with this thing about the pay for losses? Because I truly think this is going to come back and bite the team in the butt with draft picks, with, who else knows? Like, I think Ross might be forced to sell the team. What do you guys think?
I think the Dolphins' smartest move right now is to shut the hell up and not say a damn word unless they have to.
Hey, man, swear jar, Paul.
Oh, no, I said damn. I said damn, not. I didn't.
See, you
I
said it twice now. That's $4. That's $4.
You can say those on ABC. That's owned by Disney. That is the company that shot Bambi's mom. So we're good.
That is.
But you don't say a word unless spoken to. It's like you're in trouble with your mom. You don't volunteer information. You don't anything right now. If you're Stephen Ross, you don't try to. The way you get ahead of it is to be quiet.
I think we have to realize how big this gambling part is, because you got to realize the NFL moved with FanDuel, with DraftKings, and their partnership with them, right? And now you have somebody who represents the game in an ownership standpoint that is basically saying, you lose games, I'll pay you. I don't think I really think this is the biggest story out of all of it.
It is. Yeah. Unfortunately. And that's why I said it. I wish he had left it out of it, because it distracts from the real issue that is the basis of the suit.
If it comes to fruition that Flores has evidence, where does this go? Where do you see it going? And Drebatron said, Paul, I got your swear jar. Paul said he paid your swear jar fee.
Drew, I love you. Thank you. I should come on and swear more often. You listeners will get you up, Steven.
So Carl and filth.
Flan filth.
Ish. Whole lot ish.
Side note, Showtime's got a great documentary.
Oh, yes.
About Bill Cosby, done by my man.
Come on.
Think of his name. Kamal Bell.
Yeah, Kamal Bell. Sorry.
Great interview. If you guys want to see a really good interview,
I thought all 4 hours of it.
Yeah, back to back.
Back to back.
But yeah, I mean, back to the thing. I really think this is going to have a lasting effect on the league. This could eventually impact their relationship with Vegas. Like, think about it. You go to Vegas, you have a relationship with Vegas, everything's to be going good, and now all of a sudden this breaks out. This is the last thing. I'll be honest with you. The NFL would rather deal with all the racism stuff rather than this stuff. Am I wrong in thinking that, Lorenzo? Am I wrong in thinking that?
Some black coaches are going to be hired this season because of this. They're going to have to do that just to try to clean it up. I'm not saying that, if they're not deserving of the job, they should get it. But what they do to try to save face. So it probably will, the Dolphins need to go ahead and now bring in some more candidates that are African-American just to save face, but then that looks bad. I don't even know if I think Paul is right. Do nothing. I don't know what they can do, but they have to find a coach. And I'm on the Eric Bieniemy bandwagon because I think that's a quick fix. I think that brings a lot to the table. I know he had some, I saw someone in the text say he's had some issues in college and what have you. We've all done some things in college that we're not proud of, but that might be the coach that would take this position because he wants to be a head coach and you can keep the defense intact. You do that, that's one thing. So you go ahead and you hire a black coach, and then you might, once his allegations clear up, be able to get a Deshaun Watson because he has that no trade.
Yeah, but Lorenzo, from the standpoint of gambling, that's where I want the conversation
okay.
directed. Like, because
I don't even know, man. I don't even know. I don't gamble, so I don't even. But you talking about Stephen Ross and the 100,000?
I think that alone, take that. Let's just take that.
Oh, okay.
Stephen Ross paid a coach $100,000 to blow games.
He's got to sell the team. And
let's just take this for 1 second though. It wasn't $100,000. It was $100,000
for a loss
per game. That's $1.6 million per
loss.
I'm telling you, that here, gentlemen, is the story. That is the story here.
It's unfortunately going to be, and that's where I was saying before. That's where I wish Brian Flores didn't include it, even if he came back after the fact separately with this.
I understand what you're saying, Paul. I do.
Yeah.
I think no matter what way you look at it, he was going to lose in the beginning of this, so he decided to come out with everything at one time, which I do think was in his best interest.
And
do I think,
right?
Yeah,
because he was gonna. Sorry, go ahead, Steven. Sorry.
He was going to be looked at with a black eye no matter what, right? And so you have to understand that from the standpoint. But what I want to know is, or what I want to say is, it actually probably helps him more than it hurts his cause. Because if you look at it, he's going to get blackballed from the NFL. But now some of these same people that that are going to blackball him, they're going to be fight. Like, imagine right now, right? If I'm DraftKings, or if I'm FanDuel, or I'm Caesar Sportsbook, or whoever has a relationship with the NFL, I'm calling the NFL right now, guys. Y'all about like what are y'all playing? What are you planning on doing? Because we give y'all a lot of money. We give y'all a lot of money. How are y'all planning to handle this? Because what's gonna how the NFL and this team react to this are going to go such a long way. Let's look at it how many years ago? 40, 50 years ago with Pete Rose. 40 some odd years ago with Pete Rose, there was no gambling effect with it because there was no relationship between Major League Baseball and gambling, right?
It was less than 40 years ago. Damn it, I was a toddler.
Okay, so I'm just saying, like, the relationship there was negative, right? It had a negative connotation to it. Now, gambling has such a positive connotation to it in our society. But if the NFL was fixing games and it comes out that they were in on it, I'm telling you right now, it's going to I need y'all to really think about how big this story is going to be. It's going to be the biggest story, not only in the world of sports, but maybe in the news this year.
Dude, we're still talking about Pete Rose 40 years later. Like, and this is going to be a huge one in that regard. Absolutely. Now, before I lose this thought, though, I totally want to ask a question about something else. I promise we can come right back to it. Now, I'll be good. Now, but I want to get your opinions because I was thinking about something you were saying, Ice, and you're going to, and not you, but just the NFL as a whole is going to struggle to force a bunch of
I know you're going, right?
Billionaires to change their perceptions overnight.
Right.
So instead of like, I like Eric Bieniemy. There's something that happened in these interviews. I don't know what.
He doesn't interview well.
Yeah,
like, that's BS.
I don't.
That's what I hear. But can he coach?
But what I would like to see potentially, and this is something I'm literally spitballing while we're sitting here, so I haven't fleshed it fully out, and but maybe add something to this Rooney rule. Add something incentivizing
They already do that.
No. But incentivizing some form of a better mentorship program that puts people front and center of any minority race, more so with that shadowing the head coach role. I mean, it sucks and it's not a quick fix, but some type of incentivized mentorship program. And they have to prove, like, this guy sat in on every meeting that the head coach sat in on. This guy sat in on everything that this head coach did. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what the right answer is. But the way the Rooney Rule is today is not working.
Yeah, I mean, but the bar seems to be set so high for African American coaches. It's like you win, you go 10-6, and normally in a regular season that will get you in the playoffs. 10-6 would get you in the playoffs normally, and then you finish 9-8, and you have a winning. We had a winning season, and you get fired. First time we've gone back to back in consecutive seasons, But when you look at what happened with the Vikings, look at their situation. To whereas Jim Harbaugh had been rumored to be the head coach or be in the running for it, and then you bring in Patrick Graham, our former defensive coordinator, and you interview him for 9 hours, and then right after that, it's the headlines is that Jim Harbaugh is up for the position. So what is it that you're doing? And these owners, I mean, let's face it, it's how it is in America. People want to be around those who they've had those shared experiences with. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm going to mention a name, and you better believe there's a method to his madness. And that's why we have this Super Bowl halftime performance show that we're going to have with Dr. Dre, Mary J. Blige, and Snoop Dogg. And,
by the way, it's going to be epic. It's going to be epic. I just want y'all to know.
People were questioning, why is Jay-Z sitting down with the NFL? What is he doing with the commissioner? He shouldn't be with the commissioner. Jay-Z strategizing. If he's not performing at next year's Super Bowl or the Super Bowl after that, now he's trying to position himself for ownership. So throughout the last 2 or 3 years, I guess it's been that he's been with the NFL in whatever capacity that he's in the room with those owners and growing some type of comfort. So if anyone would be the next person that could be an owner in the NFL, I think that he's positioning himself for that. And that would be an amazing move. Now you will start to see more African-American GMs and more African-American coaches. But those owners have to, it's a good old boy network. So they got to let those in the room that they feel comfortable and have those shared experiences with. And a lot of times we know what it is. Those billionaires are not having those shared experiences with African-Americans. So until that is done, I think we're going to continue this cycle. I think, what is it? The Dolphins, one of the Dolphins representatives, I don't think it was McKenzie, but someone was going to be interviewed for a job or something. And if they left, we were going to pick up 2 third-round draft choices. Did y'all hear?
If he'd gotten the Chicago job.
Right. If he'd gotten that, we'd have picked up 2. So that is the incentive that has been implemented.
So there's 2 things I need y'all to remember. Number 1 is Denver Broncos are up for sale right now. My hope is that a minority owner, gets that ownership. That's 1. And by the way, here's another thing to all this too, and Paul brought it up earlier, as well as we brought it up on last night's show. They said Denver's going to sell for $4 billion. $4 billion. There are not many billionaires that can afford that, let alone minority billionaires that can afford that, right? So unfortunately, the second thing to this is, if the Dolphins have to sell their team, if Ross is, my hope is that it doesn't go to the succession plan. And I don't think that it should, especially if the NFL says, bro, you gotta go, right? And that should also have an opportunity to go to a minority owner as well. And if Denver's going for $4 billion, what do you think a South Florida, the Miami Dolphins franchise is going to go for?
So, yeah,
5
on that.
5
potentially. Now,
a brand new stadium, brand new facility. You get, the team. Like, That is easy a $5 billion price tag with that.
Potentially. I mean, they've actually got out there.
Just Google it. Teams is valued at $3.4 billion.
Well, they're saying that Denver is going to be sold at $4 billion plus.
Mm-hmm.
So if Denver's going to be sold at $4 billion plus, then you have to assume that the Dolphins would sell at plus 4.5, if not 5, because they're in South Florida. There's no state tax. It's a great opportunity to who would not want to own the Miami Dolphins? Let's just be perfectly honest.
Well, and you brought up Jay-Z, Ice, and he was probably the first name because the man is such a amazing businessman. Like, my thing with Jay-Z is I don't think he wants to individually own a team because he's making money right now with
making more money
got with the NFL off all 32 teams and the NFL in ways hand over fist with zero risk or regard to reputation.
Mm-hmm.
And
they put it together. What is the situation with Green Bay when they say the community owns it?
So you cannot have more than 24 people in an ownership group except for in Green Bay. Green Bay is grandfathered in because the community owned it prior to this being installed.
Okay.
So as it stands right now, you can't do what Green Bay did with anyone else. You cannot be owned by a publicly traded corporation to own as far as an NFL team goes. They put a lot of ownership rules in place. Green Bay is a unique situation. And even if Jay-Z were to be part of an ownership group, I don't know if he could continue with the existing deals he has in place. But what I would say to that, and this is using the Dan Snyder model a little bit, there's no reason Beyonce can't.
Yeah.
Come on, Beyonce, own the team.
Hey, and then but it's been said and Venus Serena own a part too, and J-Lo.
Mark Anthony?
Mark Anthony have a percentage of it.
There's definitely a big minority ownership within the minority ownership.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we as fans need to realize that there's over the next few weeks, the new if Flores has what he claims to have, I'm telling you, the ship is going down. It's going to be the Titanic, and he's bringing everybody down with him. And let Hugh Jackson have it. If Hugh Jackson, who also this morning, according to Pro Football Network, came out and said that he was told by Cleveland to be paid for losses, two things. Number one, this is a practice. Now this one is one thing.
Two.
If two people come out, it's something that's practiced within the NFL. This is practice. Stephen Ross didn't just get this idea on his own. This is something that's been going around forever.
No, he's old enough that he saw the movie Major League.
Right? So, I great movie, by the way. Willie Mays Hayes, run like Willie, catch like Mays. I really think that we have. I need people to understand.
Run like Mays, catch like Hayes.
Yes, you need to put your arms around this. Like, this is potentially the biggest news story in the history of sports. Like, I really think it's that big. I'm telling you, do not.
It's not yet. It's not yet until
if he had, if the Paul, let's pretend for a second that it does. You don't tell me that it's not going to have repercussions with a team in Vegas. You don't think it's going to have repercussions with past NFL coaches saying, hey, I was paid for losses too, by the way. You don't think that it's going to have repercussions with this franchise over the next 2 to 5 years, maybe even decade? Because here's what's going to happen. They're going to take away draft picks. They are going, the biggest sentencing, whatever is the worst sentence handed out in professional sports, we will get double that. Guaranteed, if there is proof of it.
And this is where, unfortunately, this is now speaking as an NFL fan, not as a Dolphins fan. Roger Goodell falls woefully short in so many areas. But one area that he normally doesn't fall woefully short in is swift and decisive discipline. Swift and decisive discipline is something that unfortunately is very much needed in this scenario. It's, if he allows us to languish out there, then it's going to gain steam and you name it. If he acts swiftly, firmly, and literally puts control of the Dolphins under the other 31 owners out there, potentially, if there's a shred of evidence, then this story doesn't gain the steam. It's still a huge story. And I expect there to be multiple lawsuits against Stephen Ross if that's the case. I wouldn't be surprised if Dolphin fans threw down a potential class action lawsuit.
I'm telling you, I see that coming too.
Well, but it all hinges on what right now is hearsay. And if you can turn it from hearsay into something more, that is the point where Stephen Ross better just go buy an island in the Bahamas and liquidate assets, let Beal succeed him in his other ventures. And just
do you think Beal would still want to own this team with everything that's come out? Do you think it's beneficial for him?
Yes.
In his camp, do you think he wants to own it still?
Yes.
That's upsetting.
It's just
he
can walk in there and go.
Because I'll be honest with you, I'm going to put you like this: whether it's right or wrong, you're guilty by association, bro. I don't want you here. I don't want you.
At the same time,
I don't want you here.
Even if he's Darth Vader, he can walk in and go, I cannot believe what the Emperor did. I can't believe it. His old wrinkled ass did. Or well, damn it.
See, $2, Paul.
Help
this
me
is
out.
This is a family-friendly show.
Help me out, listeners. But I can't believe what he did. I'm a better Sith. You know what? At the end of the day,
I love the Star Wars reference. By the way,
he's still something we can't control who buys the franchise. We truly can't. If he starts making moves that piss me off, I could talk about it. I got a little platform. You got your little platform.
Yeah,
you got your little platform.
But I think you just said something that I think is very interesting, that the fans could potentially bring a class action lawsuit. I think that's something that should not go unsaid, that it's probably could and will happen, by the way. And it's something we need to talk about. As fans, we need to talk about that.
Right now, they don't have a basis to do so.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
And it all.
But if the evidence does come out, you best believe that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Fans are pissed.
I want a discount on my season tickets. That's what I want. Hey, do something. That's all it is.
I just want to go for a ride.
We have a good plane. Yeah, we have a good team.
Think about this, right? So Lorenzo, you, Paul, and myself, we all do, media production. We all do stuff for the Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
We all spend our own hard-earned money to go down to the team for games. We do events for fans. Think about how much money Paul and Lorenzo, especially Paul and I, because we don't live in the area.
Right.
Think about how much money we spend every year on this franchise.
I am going to plead the fifth in case my wife is watching.
Okay. My wife knows, so it don't matter. And I'm telling you right now, it ain't good, man. It's we need to really seriously consider that, we as a fan base have been cheated out of many things from this franchise, and we have lost our heart. I decide to spend my hard-earned money. I love the fans. I love this team. And by the way, I'm still going to continue to spend my money and go to games
And
because
still
I
be
love
a
it.
fan. Correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love this team.
Just don't raise them. You can't raise the prices this year, Steven.
You can't raise the prices for the next 2 to 3 years, as far as I'm concerned. And not only can you not raise the prices, bro, you better be doing everything for fan interact. Like as far as I'm concerned,
and they do.
They need to have a YouTube radio row where they let all the YouTubers come in and do stuff. They need to have a YouTube media day where we're allowed to interview all the players. They need I'm telling you right now, they need to make it easier for us.
Steven, what I gotta say on that, and this is something that, because I know a lot of our fellow YouTubers out there watch this show. The Dolphins were building towards some do. Some watch some of mine, some watch some of yours, some watch some of Ice's. We're good. But one of the things that I would urge any of us to do, right? And by the way, when I say little show, I said about mine too. It's not any type of slight for anybody watching.
No, mine's a little show. It's a little show.
But it's just small enough to hug. So we're good.
It's just small enough.
Here's the thing that I would urge our fellow people that write about the team, that do a podcast, do a YouTube channel, because what they used to do in things like Web Weekend, which you and I have talked a lot about off book, Stephen, is they would allow unprecedented levels of access to, and they still do. They do so much for their fans. It's one of the coolest moments for me was listening to Jason Jenkins brag to my parents about what I do. That was awesome for me. Completely unprompted.
And he knows.
Oh
no,
Jason is cool as hell.
Yeah.
But here's the thing I will say is if you get that access to our fellow fans and our fellow people that cover the team and our fellow whatever, don't ruin it for yourselves. It's because there's so many people through the years that I've seen that, they get told, whatever you do when you go outside, don't run onto the practice field. Yo, why are you running around on the practice field with a ball that was out there? Just goofy little things like that. They're giving you this, but they're basically telling you, don't eat the apple, Miss Eve. And people walk in and they lose their mind as a fan. You got to act like you've been there before.
Right.
Be Barry Sanders if you get that access. And guess what? They will give you more because you've shown you can handle it. Anyway, that's my little soapbox moment.
Yeah, and just to speak on the business side of the Miami Dolphins organization, by none, one of the best in the NFL. What they do in the community here in South Florida, Jason Jenkins and his whole team, I mean, they are everywhere. The players are everywhere.
Shout out to Jason Jenkins. Shout out to him.
And I mean, I've worked directly with Jason, so that's why I can say firsthand that Antoine Russell and what they do locally with the football teams, and then the Miami Dolphins alumni and their players, and they hire their players to work for the organization, and the things that Tom Garfunkel does for this team and the practice facility. I know that doesn't win games, but it's just so frustrating that those two other areas, the community and business aspect of the organization, are so well run. Why can't we get the football side of it correct? And we have a team that it may not be great,
but it's heading in that direction, though.
Good.
It's heading in that direction.
A good product, 2 winning seasons. Okay, you may say that's mediocre, but a coach walking in here can think, yes, can you turn this offense around? Can you do that with Tua? Or bring in a quarterback to compete with Tua? I don't care. Just make the offense better, and if we can keep the defense intact, okay, now we're at least a 500 or better team.
By the way, just weird, interesting side note fact. Speaking of the behind-the-scenes access, and this is going back to Tom Garfinkel's first season with the team. Tom Garfinkel might be the most excited person in that building, and as far as any of us go, when it comes to the Super Bowl halftime show this year.
Oh, yeah.
Because do you know what Tom Garfinkel's ringtone was the first time I met him?
He's a big hip-hop fan.
Dude, his ringtone was literally Dre and Snoop. It was from the Chronic.
Right.
Which I immediately respected the man when I hear the Chronic playing. Like,
hey, shout out to OJ McDuffie. He's watching. What's up, OJ?
What's up, Juice?
Juice, get up here, Juice.
Juice,
send me a thing in Facebook. Get up here.
Juice,
I got to talk for a minute.
I got to thank you because you accidentally made the family calendar that my wife's aunt makes because of the pictures you took with Axe at the MetLife game, man.
Yes.
Shout out to OJ McDuffie, who's absolutely amazing. Let me see if I can get OJ up here. OJ, if you can come up, if you got 5 minutes, man, I'd love to get you on. We'd love to talk to you for a minute. I'm sure you have a lot to say about this. You're in the media now. I'm sure I won't ask you certain questions. I promise you I won't give you the hard questions, but I would like to just get your thoughts on what you can say or what you might want to say on this whole thing.
Yeah, but let's give OJ a big shout for his event that he's coming up on. He has coming up February 20th. OJ
Bowling
Kids, which is on February 20th at Squares Lane. OJ's been doing this since he was playing in the league. So big shout going out to OJ81. That's my dog. I got nothing but love for OJ. When I first came to South Florida, he was one of the guys I used to roll with, so big shout going out to OJ, and he has some stories that he could also tell if he wanted about some of the treatment during those Jimmy Johnson years, but I don't know if he wants to get into all that.
And the other thing too, don't forget to go follow his Catch 81 Foundation and their new Instagram page.
That's right.
Yes, they have a new Instagram page. Check those. Like, seriously, OJ has been absolutely amazing for Miami sports music, for you guys on the Finn side. I know he's done stuff with you,
a human
Lorenzo.
being, man.
Like, he's one of the best human beings that you will see. I'm telling you right now. And Chef Zhu, real quick, Lorenzo, promote OJ's bowling event one more time. Chef Zhu lives down there. I know he would go.
It is at Squares Lane, which is at 5325 South University Drive in Davie. It's going down February 20th, and it's OJ McDuffie Strike for Kids. And, if you want to join the team, you could definitely go follow him on IG. OJ McDuffie is actually his tag on IG. So check it out. That is February 20th. OJ McDuffie Strike for Kids. I think keeps cutting off. And that is on February 20th, coming up right around the corner. So definitely go out.
I remember when it was 30 viewers, Steven. Steven, now up to 160. Keep it going. Clock blockers. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Look, man, it's really. I'm gonna give OJ a couple minutes, see if OJ comes on. But to kind of wrap up today's conversation a little bit is, what do you see? Like, the head coach has to be done. So I guess that's the next step for this franchise at the moment. Is there somebody, like, I personally think it's not McDaniel anymore. I don't see him touching the team with a 10-foot pole. I'll be perfectly honest with you. And I know Harbaugh's probably going to take that. I have a feeling Harbaugh's going to take the Minnesota job. And why would he come here now, especially if Ross could be on his way out the door? So my question to you is this. Are there any other names that you see could be the next head coach of the Miami Dolphins?
I think at this point, you've pigeonholed yourself so long as one of the folks involved accepts it to your candidates. Because at this point, if you reach out to anybody else, unless somebody very unexpectedly becomes available, you're basically going to be given a job that is forever tainted with the optics of pandering. As far as that goes, you're already setting whoever that is up for failure. So I think at this point, unless you stick to your guns with the guys that supposedly had the best interviews, you're setting yourself up poorly for the future, and for the now. As far as the like, you were going to get roasted in public perception, even if that new coach you bring in, if, like, say, Eric Bieniemy, even if he comes in and goes 17-0 and runs the table in the playoffs, you're going to get hammered with why did it take Brian Flores' lawsuit to get you to interview this guy? Why did it take Brian Flores' lawsuit to get you to see this? Like, it's you're basically at this point got to say, like, look, these two plus the one that I've interviewed in the past knocked it out of the park in a way, because if you're thinking that, I don't think Harbaugh is part of the conversation at this point. I really don't. That's all public guesswork. The only job he's expressed any form of interest in that we know of is Minnesota. So I really think it's down to the
I don't see a former head coach coming here either. I think so. This is what I truly see. Darren Rizzi, I think, is a guy we should really look at. That's one.
I wanted them to, but they didn't.
I know. I've been all about the special teams coordinator. Number two, you promote from within, right? I think it'll be very interesting to see, like could Eric Studsville maybe become the head coach, and or Godsey, become the head coach, and then they break it down from there. I think another option that you could also see too is somebody like Rich Bacata. I can't say his last name. The guy who was the intern for Vegas. I could see him maybe wanting to do it. But like I don't think it's going to be anybody we want. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I think it's going to be somebody who says, well, I would like to be a head coach in the NFL. Here's an opportunity for me to show what I'm worth, and I'll never get another opportunity like this. So yes, and odds are it's going to come from directly within the organization. And I mean, yeah, that's what I can kind of see. What do you guys think?
I think you really need someone experienced with this scandal that's going to be hovering over this franchise for quite some time. Mm-hmm. Jim Harbaugh would be basically, look like he's heading to Minnesota, but he's the type of personality that could handle the media coming in the door, being able to handle this situation. A young, inexperienced coach is going to have some issues handling this and can fumble the ball, pun intended, a great deal if they haven't been in that position. So it's hard to say. I mean, Jim Caldwell, of course, has been tied to the organization since 2019. He might be a quick fix just to come in, just to, hold it down and try to bring some type of normalcy to the football side of it, because he's been tied to the organization since 2019 when a lot of these new people have put in place. So that's the safe way you need to go. Why hasn't Doug Peterson received an interview? He's got ties to the organization. He's good friends with Marino. So, and of course, Marino's in Ross's ear. But I kind of keep going back to the Eric Bieniemy. Did he get an interview during the 2019 season? I'm not sure. I'm curious to know if he did get interviewed, because if they interviewed him before, then therefore they had a chance to see what he's able to bring to the table. And that's why they may not bring him in if he was interviewed in 2019, along with when Flores was interviewed. But I think you need to bring him in with the scandal that's going on. But it's hard to say. And like you said, Steven, I don't think it's going to be anyone that we really want. This is going to be somebody that we really need just to come in here and just bring some normalcy to the football side of the organizations, because it's going to be crazy.
So initially, day one of Flores being let go, I brought up Bieniemy as a guy I liked, but then I brought up three other young and risings that I was very intrigued by. The three young and risings I was very intrigued by were D'Amico Ryans, Kellen Moore, and Mike McDaniel. Two of those three got an interview and made it to the final phase.
Which one is the bigger personality? Which one you think that can handle the scandal? I said a rhyme. Handle the scandal. Let's go.
I don't know much about Kellen Moore's personality. I like that one, though. I think Mike McDaniel is unabashedly himself. Unabashedly unaffected by your opinions. Unaffectedly, I think, and what I would say, too, is I would hope, and he doesn't have connections to Jim Caldwell, but I would like to see Jim Caldwell come in some form of advisory role like he was initially supposed to do with Brian Flores.
Right, exactly. Right.
And it's very much like when I've watched some footage behind the scenes of McDaniel, the man commands a room. And that's a room at times that has had Sean McVay, Gary Kubiak, Denny Green, Ray Rhodes. Let's see who else. I literally have a list up right here, guys he's worked with. Mike Sherman, Kyle Shanahan, Saleh, LaFleur. All these guys he's worked with through the years. Logan or Daryl Loggins, Aaron Glenn, Mike Patine, guys that are very much I'm here and I'm going to say what I'm going to say. And I've seen these guys, not all of them, obviously, because there's not footage of him with each and every one of these guys, but I've seen a lot of these guys in a room with him. Shut up and listen when the man talks.
And we're going to need a coach with that type of strong will and big time personality to handle. How old is he?
He's been in the league 16 years. I think he's 38, 39, something like that. Sure. I've got everybody he ever worked with in front of me, but I don't have his age.
Yeah, and our oldest player is probably who on the team? Is anybody 30 on this team?
There's a couple, I think.
Okay. Fitzpatrick, we used to know it was Fitz off the top. So
I'm honestly maybe Eric. No, maybe Eric Rowe.
Possibly. Yeah. So
that is a good question.
I mean, he would definitely be able to identify with this.
I have a very off the wall, crazy, never gonna happen answer. You ready?
Shoot your shot.
Dan Marino.
No.
Yeah.
If he ever wanted it, this would be the time to do it for him. Because he wouldn't get graded. He wouldn't get graded it would be, I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna help, it would be a fan friendly pick. It would be okay, I'm here to take one for the team. He'll coach for a year.
Be a great PR move.
I think it'd be a great PR move. He would coach for 1 year, maybe 2. But it wouldn't be anything more than a year or 2. It'd be a bridge gap between whatever new ownership does and the revamping. Why not? I think it'd be if he wanted it.
Now, do you think he sticks with Tua?
I don't know. I think it would just. I think it would. Look, Magic Johnson was the coach of the Lakers for how long? A week, something like that. So I mean, why not Marino for a season? I think 1 season he would do it. Why not?
I don't. Marino is the face of this Dolphins franchise. I have not seen or heard anything that leads me to believe Dan Marino is a good coach. He's got a ton of football knowledge. He had more football ability than God I've ever seen. But that doesn't make you a good coach. Sometimes some of those special players that can make out to be the worst coaches in the world. They can't understand these guys that aren't special as well.
And Paul, this generation of athlete couldn't handle Dan Marino.
No.
They can't. They could not handle Dan Marino. We've seen clips of ask O.J. McDuffie how Dan Marino, and he used to get in the shot passes. Ask Aronde Gadsden.
By the way, guys, I don't think in any way, shape, or form this happens. It was clearly somebody that's already within the organization. That why not?
I just
you
I
can't
don't want to
talk
see
to people like that.
Marino's got his legacy in Miami that I want to see untarnished.
Right.
Now, if he had gone somewhere else, coached, got his lumps, figured out how to be a coach, cool. Let's talk about it. Bring the prodigal son home.
Didn't we want Mike Shula for a while? Didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. We wanted Mike Shula back in the day.
I was on that train. But I don't want to see any scenario that suddenly takes Dolphin fans and puts them in a position to do, and what I'm about to say is illegal, but to want to vandalize the Marino statue in front of that stadium.
Ooh,
we can talk about it, how much we'd love it, but you get 0-2. There's going to be some shit. I stopped myself.
No, you said it, Paul.
I stopped myself. No,
$3. You're up to 3.
Help me out, listeners.
I mean, come on. They made a big deal out of Flores shouting at Tua on the sidelines during the Tennessee Titans game. What do you think Marino's going to be saying to that quarterback on that first drive when he overthrows the wide receiver? Or he audibles at the line.
I say Marino in all honesty, though. In all honesty.
Oh, my goodness.
Why not a former player, though? I think this would be a perfect place for a former player who woke up on the bed, said, I want to be a head coach in the NFL.
Steve,
this would be the place to come for a year to do it.
But to piggyback off of that, we remember when Jimmy Johnson handcuffed Marino, he couldn't call an audible at the line of scrimmage. We all remember that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Does Tua have the ability to audible at all?
Yes, he did it this season multiple times.
Chris Delacca said, I say we dig up Don Shula, put some glasses on his face, and have it a weekend at Bernie's.
Paul, how many times during the season would you say he audibled?
A decent amount. Here's part of it, too. Running the RPO. Every play has its own built-in audibles, on top of that. But there were a few times I know of where he and Gesicki called an audible and scored a touchdown. They came out after the fact that Tua completely changed the play at the line of scrimmage.
It was in that New England game, the first game of the season, he audibled when we were in, I guess we were in our own territory. We were like at the 2 or 3 yard line, and he audibled to throw a first down to Devontae Parker. I do remember that. But
so what I want to say though too is we're talking about putting Marino in as a figurehead, just stopgap coach for a year or two. This is a team that is primed to leap forward from the 2 winning seasons that they've had in the upcoming season. They should have had a better record this year than they did. We've talked about that extensively. Like they should have, and that's not homerism. That's not. That's literally coaching mistakes put them in a position where, I'm not going to say they would have won every game in that 7-game losing streak, but they would have won a few. Now that's with some key fundamental issues that this team is set up to fix this offseason. That's with only 2 key free agents that aren't controllable that Miami needs to put an effort into re-signing and might be able to get away from if they have to. That's with the most cap space in the NFL.
Right.
It's so if you want to say why not, this team in this front office and Chris Greer and Reggie McKenzie and Tom Garfinkel and yes, Stephen Ross need to get this hire right. Everybody else's opinions be damned right now and take your lumps after the fact if you have to. They need to get this hire right because if they get the right coach, $4. I'm not counting that word. I'm not counting that word. Nope. But if they get this hire right, this is a team that can just be a double-digit win team very easily next season. Very easily. You add 2 offensive tackles through free agency from that top 8 list. Boom. That's 2-3 wins right there. Offensive tackles and change nothing else. Like it's, and then you add your draft picks, et cetera, on top of it. Like, and this is like, there's so much about this team that's ready for now. And that if you don't do the now, what's there is going to fall apart in 2 years. When you get your coach that you need and want. Because if you run a figurehead, guess what? The players are going to abandon ship. And this team is going to have to do a full-blown rebuild, and we're talking
everything's going to be new. I'm telling you all right now. Rick, that's actually a really good comparison. We need someone like Dusty Baker at this point. Dusty Baker became the manager of the Houston Astros after their scandal, right?
Yeah.
And that's actually a really good comparison. I was trying to think. I'm like, I can't think of one, but Dusty's a good one. Dusty is somebody who probably didn't have I'm assuming he didn't have any aspirations to maybe still manage. It was probably more of, hey, we need you. We need somebody that's willing, to take over this, and I could totally see that. So think about a former head, Bill Cowher, maybe, right?
Tony Dungy
Tony Dungy
fits that mold. I mean,
we don't want you to stay here for a long time. We need to create a new culture.
It doesn't
come in for a year or 2 years.
Doesn't Jim Caldwell fit that?
Exactly.
It does.
That's Jim Caldwell.
Ice, I'd give you a hug if you were closer and the pandemic.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
This is it's been a great show. Clock Blockers, home of the #1 Miami fan morning show, right here on Miami Sports Music's podcast network. Gentlemen, I want to give you the platform to say your final thoughts of the day, as well as promote whatever it is you guys would like to promote, as well as your social media, yourselves, platforms, all that stuff. I will start with Mr. Lorenzo Ice-T.
Yeah, just follow me as you see there on the screen at Lorenzo Ice-T on IG, Lorenzo Thomas on Twitter. Of course, I have my own digital radio station, which is on iHeart, Odyssey, Alexa, all the platforms. In fact, just do yourself a favor and Google 100 Hip Hop and R&B FM. That's my station. I got a full lineup of personalities, and we're killing the game right now. And it is my station, and I'm happy to say that. So I'm proud of it. So, and that's it. I mean, hey, it's what can we say that has not already been said at this point? But I'm going to be in support of the Miami Dolphins organization until the day that I die. I love this team. And, we just got to sit back and see what else is going to, I don't know I really don't know what to say, because there's going to be more information that comes out as soon as we sign off. There's going to be another shoe
it's going to be stuff all day.
I mean, I just, like Paul was saying, if whoever we hire, let's just, get a right hire and then just move on. I mean, that's really all I could say, because we've said a lot this morning.
Hey, real quick, just want to say, flip side, I will answer that question tomorrow. So when you come on tomorrow, just ask that question again, because I do want to dive into that a little bit. But
hey, Steven,
I'll talk about that tomorrow.
Yeah, and Steve, in reference to that, that's what I said. Do trade it before before they take it.
Ask that question again.
That's one of the things I heard before I joined. And real quick, I know we're wrapping up. We can't trade a pick right now.
Why not?
Because we have to wait for the league year to start. We can agree to trade a pick when the league year starts.
Yeah. Right.
But and the NFL can basically flip that trade right on back after the fact. It's a great thought. I would love it. If we could turn the trade deadline off in Madden, it'd be a freaking awesome thing to do.
We can try.
That's one. Shake gave me 2, baby. Shake gave me 2 free ones. So that's 1. Now, I'm going to say right here, follow my damn Twitter handle. That's 2. At @fanatic_pick or at on the fin side. You follow my co-host at Brian Cat NFL. We're all over all the platforms too. We don't have our own radio station. We're just us, but we're on Alexa. We're on iHeart. We're on Spotify. We're on all the places. We're on YouTube. On the fin side, we
have a podcast network over here, Paul. I'm just saying, I'm not putting you on the spot.
I know, but we have our partnership in place, and I've got to sort that stuff out.
Paul doesn't love me. Paul just doesn't want to come on. That's what it is.
We got to work together. It's racial.
I give you the arms and legs hug every time I see you, Steven.
You do. It gets a little. I'm just saying.
I jump up and throw the arms out and just let you carry me around the room, which is
I'm gonna throw out my back. We don't need all that.
That's why I'm a Weight Watchers.
Okay, so I need to watch.
I cannot enjoy food. Just
you're
like
on Weight Watchers. I need to watch my weight, and so hey, I'm just saying. Hey, look, this has been a great morning show this morning. I've really enjoyed it. Look, this whole situation sucks. There's no other way around it. I think we're in for a long ride together as fans, but hey, you know where we can do it? We can do it right here on Miami Sports Music's podcast network. We can do it together. We could deal with this together. We will be a family, a Finn's family. And my Vin Diesel voice from Fast and Furious. Family. I didn't have nobody sign up to become a new member today. I was trying to get 3 new members today. If you want to sign up and become a member real quick, I'm just saying down below at the bottom, sign up, become a member. In the description link, you can sign up and become a member. I would love to see you become a member. Yeah, I would love that. I want to remind you all, tomorrow we'll be back at it. Clock Blockers, 9 a.m. Tomorrow will be a show for you all. I think I'll have some people on the panel in the beginning. There's a couple of people that were supposed to make it this morning that will come on tomorrow. But I will have a fans-only panel tomorrow, which I'm sure will go very well.
Well, if it's anything like me telling you I can't make it and then telling you I'll give you 5 minutes, and here we are 2 hours later.
Yeah, well, Lorenzo was so kind. I want to give a big shout out to Smoke for coming on. That was great. I enjoyed Smoke this morning. Smoke had never been on here, so he was awesome. And there was a few other people.
Like I tell you all the time, Steven, it's therapeutic for us as Dolphin fans, and we need this, especially instead of yelling at the TV where it can't talk back. So, I need this, and it's good to be able to articulate our thoughts, especially when we love this team so much.
Hey, real quick, the real news today today is Groundhog Day.
Oh, yeah.
So, unfortunately, Phil saw his shadow. Phil saw his shadow.
I forget, what does that mean?
Phil has only been right, though. All right. Phil saw his shadow, but Staten Island Chuck didn't. I don't know what that means. But Phil has only been right 40% of the time, and Chuck has been right 75 to 80% of the time. So, with that being said, I guess spring is coming early if you go with Chuck. So it's kind of like the Dolphins. You put your faith in a team, and you never know which way it'll go.
Phil wouldn't have seen his shadow appear. His coal would still be covered in 2.5 feet of snow from this weekend.
I mean, you are correct about that. There is.
Where are you, Paul?
I'm up in Connecticut.
Okay. Woo.
Yeah, you've had a lot of snow. To me, that's just it's cold for no reason. Cold, bro. Like, no reason it should be that. Like, I could never, I live in northern Baltimore, and I in no way, shape, or form could ever do anything further north than this. Because it's cold now. It's cold now.
By the way, Steven, my dad and I are talking about coming down for the Baltimore game.
Well, so, yeah, I am putting something together. We are doing stuff with Tail Greeter. We got a big thing coming out. By the way, guys, I put it in the chat to sign up to become a member. And if you also want to donate through PayPal or Cash App, I'm going to put that in the link too. Guys, donate to the channel, help the channel grow. Sign up, become a member today. I would love to see y'all become part of the family. But yeah, that Baltimore game, we're going to do a big thing, man. I'm going to have a meet and greet the night before. I've already talked to a couple of former Miami Dolphins about being here. Hopefully, pray, maybe the big guy on the O-line. Maybe if I can get him to come from Texas, want to get him to come.
Well, Steven, you already know if there's anything I can do to help if I'm down there, I'm in. So,
well, I just want to give you a hug. That's all I really want to do.
Shoot, sugar, that's happening no matter what.
All right, guys, it's been great hanging out with y'all. I will see y'all tomorrow. And yeah, man, that's it. Look, guys, keep your head up. Spread kindness, positivity, and love. Miami Dolphins, let's go.
Oh,
time I've been trying to find mine. Shining like the skyline. Wish I could rewind time and replay it in my mind. Replay it in my mind. Oh, no. They'll never know this love and